him as her own son. Soo Yun and the others were unhappy and curled their lips. Mom, you said a few days ago that having too many sons was annoying. Why are you accepting another one now? Hearing this, Mother Soo glared at her fourth son. Why do you have so much to say? Okay, Soo Yun finally understood that other people's sons are more attractive. Aunt, if you don't mind, I am your biological son, Wanwan. Don't you think so? He just wanted to act nice and even brought Soo Wan into the mix. Soo Wan, who was standing aside, was startled by his question. You, as long as you are happy. Oh, I was just joking with you. I was afraid your family would have objections. Soo's mother just treated it as a joke, and Jongyu did not continue talking. Instead, he asked the servants to take out all the things. This is the birthday present your second brother asked me to bring you. This is the birthday present Miss Linger asked me to bring you. He gave the 2 boxes to Soo Wan one by one. The second brother gave her a hairpin, and Linger gave her a very beautiful bracelet, which was crystal clear without a trace of impurities. Soo Wan liked it very much. After looking at it repeatedly, he put it on his head and hands. When Soo's mother heard the news about her second son, she immediately became excited. Ayu, how did you meet Amu? I am acquainted with Dr. Sun Beidou. They passed by Zhongzhou and came to see me. When they learned that I was coming to Xiangzhou, Su Mu had always been thinking about Wanwan's birthday, so he asked me to bring her a gift. He had already prepared it in advance. Miss Linger was also there, so he brought her one as well. Jiang Yu did not hide anything, but told the truth. Is he okay? Su's mother asked. He's fine. Auntie, don't worry. He travels around with Divine Dr. Sun, and everything he sees and hears is knowledge. Besides, Elder Sun is highly respected, so he will certainly not treat him badly. I know Mr. Sun won't treat him badly. I'm just worried that he won't get used to being away from home for too long. Su Mu had never traveled far away, and his mother was worried that he would not be able to adapt to the climate there, so she was always worried about him. Aunt, he's fine. When I saw him, he had a rosy complexion and was full of energy. He even looked a little fatter. Jiang Yu also wanted to reassure Su's mother that his complexion was indeed rosy, but he was not fat. Jiang Yu is a scheming boy. He took out his gift at the very last moment. Before Su Wan could react, a brand new wooden box appeared in front of her. Anything else? Su Wan was so overwhelmed with gifts today. This is my birthday gift to you. May you always be happy. Su Wan seemed to be possessed by a poison tonight. She didn't dare to look Jiang Yu in the eye. She took the box and opened it guiltily. She tried several times to open the buckle, but failed. To outsiders, she looked flustered. There was a folded piece of paper inside with words written on it. Su Wan looked at Jiang Yu in confusion. What's this? Just open it and you'll know. Jiang Yu saw her cautious look like a little quail. Unfolding the letter paper, I saw a handwritten calligraphy with flowers on it, which was neat and elegant. This is a recipe with the words Yuyan cream written on the front, and below is the method of making Yuyan cream. This is Linger's homemade formula. Old Sun has improved it himself. The effect is much better than the beauty creams on the market. Didn't you say that you wanted to sell some skincare products when you open a shop in the future? What do you think of this? Jiang Yu's skill of borrowing flowers to offer to Buddha is perfect, but he also paid a price, and it was worth it. This was undoubtedly a timely help for Su Wan, as she was worried that she didn't have a good formula for a beauty cream. With Dr. Sun's prescription in hand, I don't need to rely on his fame. The effect of this jade face cream alone is convincing enough. Making a fortune in the future will not be a problem. Thinking of this, Su Wan suddenly felt hesitant to accept it, as if it were a hot potato. Jiang Yu, this is not good. This prescription is too expensive. This is my birthday gift to you. What's wrong with it? You are a birthday guy, and you still care about the person who gave you the birthday gift and what the gift is? It's not like I'm giving it to her for no reason, so why should I be embarrassed to ask for it? Downstairs had already begun. Everyone was crowding at the window to watch the show, except for the two of them whispering in the back. In fact, the formula of this jade face cream was extremely tempting to Su Wan, and she shamelessly wanted it.
Then,
When the jade face cream makes a profit in the future, can I give you 10% of the profit? 1%? That much? Jiangyu raised his eyebrows and said with a rising tone, thinking, this heartless girl is quite stingy. The key point is that she still thinks she is very generous. Why, do you think it's too little? Sure enough, Suwon felt that he had given a lot. Not a small amount, not a small amount. Sixth, Mrs. Happiness is more important than anything else. Jiangyu started talking strangely again. Can you please speak nicely? Suwon always felt that he was flirting with her intentionally or unintentionally. I remember that he was not like this in the book. Even when facing Guyu, he had an indifferent expression, didn't talk much, and was very frugal with his words. Unless it does not involve his interests. Jiangyu laughed again. It had not been half an hour since he met this girl, and she had been making him laugh. The two guards saw it and felt that all the laughter that the young master had accumulated in the past 6 months was used up here. Why don't you tell me why I didn't speak properly? Look at you, you're smiling at me again. What do you look like when you smile? Don't you know what's going on? Which little girl can stand that? Suwon said whatever she wanted to say. Jiangyu didn't expect her to be so straightforward and was a little stunned. Do these little girls include you? He quickly reacted and asked her again, catching her off guard. Of course not, Suwon answered against her conscience, but her flushed face betrayed her. It was good enough that Jiangyu understood it himself. He didn't say anything else, but just smiled to himself, a smile that was full of meaning. Suwon felt uneasy when he looked at her, so she walked to the window to watch the people below performing singing, dancing, and magic tricks. The magic tricks here are nothing special, nothing more than fire breathing and some crude magic tricks. To the ancients, they are very eye-catching and interesting, but to Suwon, they are just SOSO. She is more interested in the songs and dances. However, when the magic show was over, all the magicians, both men and women, came on stage and said in unison to the private room where Suwon was, "Congratulations to Miss Suwon on her birthday. May everything go well for you. May you be happy every year." This was something no one in the Su family had expected, and Suwon was even more surprised by it. It was obviously Jiangyu's work, because he just said that he hoped she would be happy every year. Suwon turned around and met his gentle gaze. He was holding a cup of tea, and when he noticed the girl was looking at him, he stopped and looked at her with a slight smile on his lips. Suwon felt that Jiangyu was really strange. She didn't understand why he did all this for her. Was it because she had saved his life, or because of something else? Downstairs, shopkeeper Luo suddenly walked to the middle stage and said loudly, "Our young master is in a good mood today. All the guests present here will enjoy free drinks tonight." As soon as these words were spoken, the whole audience burst into applause, praising the young master of Yu Manshi Lu for his magnanimity. The magicians left the stage, and it was the turn of the singing and dancing girls to perform, using all their tricks to make today's protagonist happy. After the performance, everyone congratulated Suwon on his birthday. Everyone knows that this was Jiangyu's work. He spent a lot of money to celebrate Suwon's birthday. Ayu, what are you wasting all this money on? It's such a waste. Su's mother heard manager Luo say that all drinks were free. With so many people here tonight, how much money would they lose? That's right, Ayu, you really shouldn't spend so much money. But this made Su's father and mother very sad. Dad, Mom, he's willing to spend the money. Why are you worrying? In my opinion, he should spend some money. Su Yun came online and said, in his opinion, Jiangyu's behavior of spreading his peacock tail was just to please his Suwon. If that was the case, he had to show some sincerity. So, he didn't feel sorry at all. What nonsense are you talking about, kid? You don't feel sorry for your money if it's not spent. Then Jiangyu's money is not money anymore, right? Su's mother slammed Su Yun on the head, and the fourth child grimaced in pain. Mom, you're so biased. He is not even one of our family members, yet you are so biased. How can you be like this? Su Yun covered his head and mouthed, "Hey, Yuri, still talking back. I can't handle you anymore, right? Come here." It was rare to see Su's mother being so tough, so Su Yun quickly hid himself. Only Su Yi smiled and thanked Jiangyu, but that smile looked wrong. "Jiangyu, Thank you for your expense. I want to thank you on behalf of my Wan. Jiang Yu naturally wanted to hear Su-won tell him in person. If Su-yi had said it, what else would Su-won say? If you want to talk about Su-ishan's thoughts, the key is that he is still smiling, and you should not hit a smiling person. It's my duty. After all, she saved my life. Jiang Yu said, but he said it very seriously to Su-won, and in Su-won's eyes, he seemed to be overthinking. She laughed at herself, laughing at her own self-sentiment. The connection between her and Jiang Yu was nothing more than the grace of saving her life. If it was any other girl, he would treat her the same way. Su-won's smile was forced, and her eyes were red, but Su-yun thought she was moved. The singing, dancing, and magic shows had all ended, and the people in the Moonlight West Tower gradually dispersed. Su's mother invited Jiang Yu to stay at her home for a while. Ayu, how many days will you stay in Xiangzhou this time? We have guest rooms at home. Why don't you continue to live with us? We have many people at home, and it's lively. Su's mother really likes Jiang Yu and is extremely enthusiastic towards him. But this kind of liking is not because she regards him as her son-in-law, but because she really regards him as a very good junior. If you don't mind, I'd be willing to stay here, but I'll have to stay for a few months. I'm afraid you'll find me annoying. Jiang Yu treated Su's mother like a sweet-talking junior and was very respectful. Why would you dislike it? You've lived here all your life. We don't mind it. Father Su quickly responded, expressing his attitude. Who is capable, good-looking, and polite. Jiang Yu was sandwiched between Su's father and mother, getting along with both sides and making the two elders very happy. Su-won and his three brothers followed behind, each looking thoughtful. Su-yun was rolling his eyes. Su-chun had a helpless expression. Sui had a smile on his face but looked grim, and Su-won looked like he was worried about something. Sui noticed that she was in a bad mood. She was holding a box tightly in her arms. It was a gift from Jiang Yu, but no one knew what it was. Wan, are you worried? You don't look very happy. Logically speaking, she should be very happy and touched by such a romantic thing. Su-won heard this and shook his head. No, I'm just tired from playing today. She had been wandering around the streets all day and watched the excitement here until midnight, so she was indeed a little tired. She said that Su-yi believed it because he didn't understand Su-won's current feelings for Jiang Yu. In her opinion, Jiang Yu was only nice to her because he saved his life, and he was just repaying the favor. He would have done the same no matter who saved him. Moreover, he did not come to Xiangzhou specifically for himself. He just came to take a look. In his heart, she was not special. Just like that night, when he saw Guyu for the first time, he was attracted by her, and he was looking at her for several seconds. So, even if she was the one who saved him, perhaps he would still become Guyu's follower like in the book, and she just changed the fate of the vicious female supporting role as she wished. Thought about it, the sadder she felt. The supporting actresses in TV dramas could never have a CP line with the protagonists. They are also very pitiful, the pitiful reason of not being able to get the love they want. Moreover, she is just one of many vicious female supporting characters, which makes it even more impossible. But all this was just her own fantasy. If Jiang Yu could hear her inner voice, he would probably be so angry that he would be helpless. Jiang Yu never treated her well just because she saved his life. She was the most special one in his heart, and he came for her. It's just that he is such a proud person that he always has to find excuses for himself. If he knew that his roundabout way of speaking made the girl he liked sad, he would probably punch himself twice. A group of people walked back to Farong Cottage. Yang Qingqing caught up with them, took Su-won's arm, shook her hand excitedly, and whispered, Wan, young Master Jiang is so handsome. He is the most handsome young master I have ever seen. Su-won felt even more upset when he saw her infatuated look on her face. Glancing at the tall and slender figure in front of her, she felt chest tightness and shortness of breath. Didn't you say last time that my second brother was the most handsome man you had ever seen? In the darkness of the night, Yang Qingqing did not notice Su-won's awkward expression or the sourness in his tone. But now I think Mr. Jiang is more handsome. Yang Qingqing said the truth. So, do you like him? Suwon suddenly looked at her seriously and asked. Yang Qingqing was also confused by her question. How can I like him when I haven't even talked to him? This is just the first time we've met, and you're already saying you like me. Isn't that nonsense? But won't you be fooled by his appearance? Suwon asked again. In the original novel, Jiang Yu had so many suitors and little fans. All of them went crazy for him, went wild for him, and banged their heads against the wall for him, all just because they took one look at him. It was inexplicable. Wanwan, everyone has a love for beauty. Everyone likes good-looking people or things. Some call it appreciation, some call it liking, but I just admire it at most. Besides, his status as a wealthy and powerful person is not suitable for me. I dare not covet it, but I think he is interested in you. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Jiang Yu treats Suwon differently, including Yang Qingqing. Her whole family now lives on Suwon's protection, so how could she be so tactless as to argue with Suwon? As they kept pulling, the matter was finally pulled back to himself, but Suwon also heard a satisfactory answer, and the anger in his heart inexplicably disappeared. How is that possible? You're overthinking it. Suwon couldn't control the corners of his mouth and tried to deny it. Yang Qingqing just pursed her lips. Judging from what she saw tonight, it was indeed a little difficult to judge. It was just a feeling. Jiang Yu stood at the door of Farong Cottage, looking at the 4 familiar words on the plaque, feeling a little dazed. The name was exactly the same. He almost thought he was back in the villa in Kyoto. Was this house originally called this name, or was it given this name later? Jiang Yu asked casually. This was chosen by Suwon. It sounds nice, right?
Suyun answered proudly.
His Suwon is really talented. It sounds nice. We are in perfect harmony. Jiang Yu turned and looked at Suwon. She was whispering with Yang Qingqing and didn't hear what he said. Su-yun didn't understand. What kind of connection did Farong Cottage have with telepathy? The guest rooms in the house were all tidied and clean. Su's mother let Jiang Yu live in the largest bedroom and also arranged rooms for his 2 guards. It was getting late, and everyone went back to their rooms to rest, but Suwon couldn't sleep. Thinking of those heart-pounding moments, he tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. She didn't know when she fell asleep. When she woke up the next day, it was already noon, but no one called her. The 4th brother went back to Umangsala to work, and the 5th brother prepared to go out and set up a portrait stall. He prepared drawing paper, brushes of different thicknesses, and various colors of paint. You just need to set up a small stall on the street and start doing business. Suwon got dressed and came to the front hall. His uncle and his family had already gone to the workshop. Only his mother and father were at home, talking to Jiang Yu. Jiang Yu is still wearing purple today, but the style is different from yesterday, and the color is slightly lighter. His 2 guards stood at the door like door gods, with serious faces. When Su's mother saw Suwon got up, she quickly invited her to eat. You're awake. Mom will bring you food. Come sit down and ask your dad to make you a cup of hot tea. Su's mother didn't know who told her that drinking a cup of hot tea early in the morning is good for the body. Su's father obediently poured his daughter a cup of warm tea. After a night, Suwon was no longer as conflicted as she was yesterday. Everything take its course. If you act too awkwardly, people will suspect you, which makes you seem even more self-indulgent. It's better to just act like good friends. So, she took the initiative to talk to Jiang Yu. Jiang Yu, did you sleep well in our new home? It's okay. Jiang Yu raised his eyebrows and spoke in a natural tone, which made Suwon feel that he was being sentimental again. Su's mother quickly brought hot meals and dishes. Suwon sat alone at the table and ate happily. 3 pairs of eyes were looking at her, and the emotion in each pair of eyes was different. There are loving ones, there are comforting ones, there are gentle ones. Su's mother is kind, and Su's father feels relieved because he thinks his daughter is well-behaved and knows how to sit and eat. Jiang Yu thought that this girl was so cute even when she was eating. Even if you take small sips, you can still fill your cheeks up. Suwon tried her best to ignore his gaze. She saw him looking at her out of the corner of her eye, but she didn't dare to look up and meet his gaze. Just at this moment, Su Chun and Su Yi arrived, bringing with them a lot of equipment. Wan, I'm going to set up a portrait stall on the street today. Do you want to go with me? Suyi's first day setting up the stall was of great significance, and he wanted Su-won to be there and participate. Su-chun was carrying a table, which he would use when he painted his portrait on the street, but he was still short of 2 chairs. Go, of course you have to go. Jiangyu, are you going? Su-won called Jiangyu subconsciously. Her heart told her to control herself, but her brain didn't give her a chance to think. She regretted it after she said it. She wanted to ignore it, but also didn't want to ignore it. It turned out that the feeling of liking someone was so contradictory. Su-yi was smiling sincerely at first, but when he heard Su-won remember to call Jiangyu, his smile quickly faded. But he didn't say anything in the end, but the emotions in his eyes were deep and well hidden. Go, of course I have to go. Jiangyu closed the folding fan in his hand, then stood up and straightened the wrinkles on his robe. She invited me personally. How could I let her down? Su-chin was not polite either. Seeing that he agreed to go, he started to order him around. That's great. Please help me move 2 chairs. Jiangyu didn't say anything more and just picked up a chair with both hands. His 2 guards came forward to help. Young master, let's do it. Before Jiangyu could say anything, Su-yi spoke. It's not good to go with so many people. You are all carrying weapons. Who would dare to come and draw the portrait? His worry was not without reason. The 2 guards were carrying swords, so who would dare to get close to them? We have to protect the young master closely and cannot leave. The 2 guards looked determined, as if they were ready to join the party. Before, Jiangyu had no one with him. So he was ambushed, isolated and helpless, and almost lost his life. Therefore, they did not dare to let Jiangyu out of their sight. Okay, you don't need to follow me here. Go find Fengying and the others. No one in Xiangzhou City dares to fight me. Jiangyu had the confidence because Xiangzhou was under his control and he had an omnipotent hand. Those people did not dare to fall into his trap and risk being exposed in order to kill him. But young master, my words are of no use? Jiangyu's eyebrows darkened, and his anger leaked out. The 2 guards looked conflicted and could only watch as the young master carried the 2 chairs away. Su-won kept looking back as she walked, and the expressions of the 2 guards looked as if they had eaten a fly, which was very funny. This guy, why does he have 2 faces? He looks easy to get along with, but he is so cruel to his subordinates. After leaving the house, I came to the busiest street, found a suitable location, and set up the stall. Handsome men and beautiful women quickly attracted the attention of passers-by. Su-yi wrote a sentence on a piece of paper. Portrait, 50 cents per piece. There are a few big, neat characters, but for some reason they feel unoriginal. So, Su-won wanted to add another sentence to it, but when he picked up the pen, he thought about those few clumsy words he had written and was afraid that it would lower the grade even more. 5th brother, can you add 1 more sentence? If it doesn't look good, no money. How about that? Su-yi didn't understand what Su-won meant, but he didn't say anything and added these words. After the stall was officially set up, many people came to watch, but they just took a look and left. No one was willing to pay to join in the fun. Jiangyu bought an umbrella from somewhere and used it to block the sun. He stood beside Su-won as if nothing had happened, with most of the umbrella tilted toward her. One was worried about his 5th brother's business and had no time to think about anything else. When she saw him holding an umbrella for her, she just said thank you and nothing else. Jiangyu sneered silently. What a heartless guy, always saying thank you. Old 5th, could it be that the price you offered is too high? Su-chin guessed that this was the reason. 50 cents for a portrait was a bit too much, and he would not be interested even if it were him. However, Su-yi felt that he had asked too little, and he believed that his paintings were worth more than that. He was setting up the stall purely in the manner of Jiang Taigong fishing, waiting for those who are willing to take the bait. This street is very busy, with so many people coming and going, there will always be people who stop and are interested. He was able to sit still, quietly sitting in a chair and waiting. There was a tea stall next to it, so Jiangyu simply ordered 2 pots of tea. In May, it is easy to sweat if you stay in the sun for a long time. The 4 of them waited on the street for a long time, but the shop didn't open yet, and Su-won couldn't sit still anymore. She simply thought of an idea. Everyone was unwilling to paint because they did not trust Suyi's painting skills. What if she asked him to paint on the spot and show them? She just couldn't believe that with fifth brother's skills being so good, there would be no one who wouldn't be attracted to him. So, Soo-won asked Soo-yi to draw a picture for him first. Fifth brother, you have nothing to do anyway. Why don't you draw me? I'd be happy to be your first customer. Soo-won counted out 50 coins from her pocket and put them on the table. She said she wanted to be the first customer, so Soo-yi naturally couldn't refuse. He smiled and nodded. Please take a seat, distinguished guest. Soo-yi made a gesture of invitation. The chair had been in the sun for a long time and was a little hot on the butt, so Soo-won sat there and drew him obediently. Seeing that the sun was so bright, Jong handed the umbrella to her. Hold an umbrella, it will be more artistic. This was a good reason, and Soo-won couldn't refuse. However, her method really worked. When she sat there, passers-by on the street would stop and watch, seeing that there was a sucker who was willing to spend 50 cents to have his photo taken. In 2s and 3s, watching him sketch every stroke very carefully. Once Soo-yi gets serious, he becomes oblivious to the world outside, and his mind and eyes are filled with the world of creation. At the beginning, no one really held out much hope. They just watched for fun, but after watching for a while, they realized something was wrong. This kid looked young, but his painting skills were pretty good. His lines were smooth and there were almost no pauses, and the facial features he drew were very lifelike, and the charm could be seen even before the coloring. It is even more amazing in the later part, because he even draws each hair and eyelash clearly. Soo-won's appearance came to life on the paper, exactly 8 points similar. As for the remaining 2 points, it can only be said that Soo-yi was not a camera, and still could not replicate the real feeling. After all the colors were added one by one, they discovered that Soo-yi had an excellent grasp of colors and could even adjust people's skin color. Soo-won was born beautiful, like a living spokesperson. When the finished painting was received, everyone began to praise it. It looks like it, they are exactly the same, it's amazing. Yes, this is the first time I have seen such an amazing portrait. This person's painting skills are amazing. Soo-yi put down his pen. Everyone was already eager to make a move, just waiting for someone to set a precedent. Soo-chun was always by his side holding an umbrella for him to prevent him from being exposed to the sun. An old woman with a cane walked out of the crowd, went around to Soo-yi's table and took out 50 cents. Young man, please draw a picture for me. I am over 70 years old, and I don't have many years left to live. I want to leave some memories for my sons. The old woman was dressed in ordinary clothes and should not be from a wealthy family, but her thoughts were like those of some modern rural elderly people. When they get old, they like to worry about things after their death, such as buying burial clothes, making a coffin, taking photos, etc. There was no such technology in ancient times, so once a person died, they were dead, and her appearance would gradually be forgotten by future generations. There is a saying that goes, "Death is not eternal extinction, but oblivion is." Western mythology says that after death, people go to another paradise. When you are completely forgotten by the people in this world, you will disappear completely, losing your memory and all traces of your existence. Soo-yi nodded, asked Soo-chun to put the money away, and started his second creation of the day. Some idle and nosy people actually ordered tea and drank melon seeds at the tea shop nearby and started to crack them, and would go over to take a look from time to time. The sun was so strong that the third brother held an umbrella for the fifth brother, but beads of sweat still appeared on the fifth brother's forehead. He kept wiping them with a handkerchief for fear that they would drip onto the drawing paper. Soo-won thought, it's not okay to set up the stall like this. The dog days of summer are coming soon, and if this continues, won't he get heatstroke? Soo-won thought that he should find a cool and lively place, at least out of the sun. Jong-yu knew what she was thinking, so he booked an entire table in the tea stall. Let Soo-yi paint in the tea shed. It's a little cooler here, and there's tea to quench your thirst. Soo-won secretly sighed that Jong-yu was so thoughtful, but Soo-yi hadn't finished his painting yet, so she didn't disturb him. Around him, all of them had paid and were waiting to be painted. There were about a dozen people in line, so it would probably take a whole day to paint. Moreover, He has to set aside time to eat 3 meals and take a rest. Otherwise, who can bear to work from morning to night all day? Only after the portrait of the old woman was finished did Soo-won go over to call them. The old woman was very satisfied holding her own portrait, because Soo-yi's painting was very vivid and lifelike. Even the hair was painted so realistically. "Thank you very much. Thank you very much." She was very happy and kept blowing on the paper, trying to dry the ink and paint. Then she folded it neatly and put it in her arms. "Fifth brother, come in and paint here, it's cool here." Soo-yi raised his eyes, sweat streaked across his eyes, and he wiped them with a handkerchief. The sun was indeed getting brighter. Soo-chin moved the things into the tea shed. Soo-won poured him some tea and gave him 2 snacks. Soo-yi rested for a while and then continued to paint. Because Soo-yi had his portrait painted here, the business of the tea stall improved. While everyone was waiting, they couldn't just stand there stupidly, so they drank tea in the tea stall and waited. The tea stall owner was grinning so hard that he couldn't stop smiling, and Soo-won took the opportunity to talk to him about something. She quietly walked up to the busy tea stall owner. "Boss, I want to discuss something with you." The boss turned around when he heard the voice and saw it was Soo-won. Then he started laughing. "Miss, what's the matter? From now on, my 5th brother will set up a stall and paint in your tea shed for a long time. We can give you rent. Besides, with my 5th brother here, your business will be much better. What do you think?" Soo-won said frankly, without saying any more nonsense. The boss took a look at the business of the tea stall and smiled with wrinkles all over his face. "This is naturally not a problem. Soo-yi is his god of wealth here. It's easy to talk about. As long as you are willing, I have no objection." Soo-won knew that he would agree, so he discussed the rent with him. 5 taels of silver a month to rent a table, and tea is also included. Noon, Soo-won prepared lunch for him, and the 4 of them ate in the tea house. After eating, Soo-yi continued to paint. 3 people accompanied him for a whole day, and he earned about 10 taels of silver. Not to mention, it's quite easy for Soo-yi to make money. He estimates that he can make a few hundred taels at least in this month. It won't be long before 5th brother becomes rich too. However, there is still no news from my eldest brother. Logically, the results of the imperial examination should have been announced. For my brother to pass the exam, we just need to wait for good news from him. Soo-yi's first day of setting up the stall ended perfectly, and he made considerable profits. Soo-won could tell that Soo-yi was in a particularly good mood today. Although the 5th brother was always smiling, it always looked a little fake. Only at this moment was he sincere, not like a fake person wearing a mask. Soo-won stayed outside for the entire day, without going home. Although he didn't do anything, he was very tired and fell asleep as soon as he fell into bed. She thought that the goat milk soap business had stabilized for the time being, and next Soo-won would have to find time to go back to Yangao to trade her honey. It just so happened that Sue's father had also been in Xiangzhou for a few days and had to go home. He heard that the pepper trees at home were growing well and would probably bear peppers soon. "Comes, I will save some seeds and buy a few acres of land to plant peppers. The peppers grow, those that need to be ground can be ground, and those that need to be pickled can be pickled. All of them are stored and can be used by 4th brother when he opens a restaurant in the future." Early in the morning, Sue's father asked Soo-chen to harness the carriage to take him back, and Soo-won went with him. Jiangyu insisted on following and even packed his bag. He said that he hadn't been back to Yangao for a long time and missed it very much, so he wanted to go back and take a look. He wanted to go, and Soo-won couldn't stop him, so he could only let him go. Along the way, there were green mountains and clear waters and beautiful scenery. Soo-won lay on the window of the carriage, looking at the natural scenery outside the window, feeling emotional. The fresh air makes people feel relaxed and happy. I got home in the evening. The yard was very clean. In the small flower plot in the backyard, some flower seedlings had grown as tall as my calves and were growing stronger and stronger. They were no longer like tender sprouts. The roses and roses have also grown vines that are climbing upwards vigorously, and beautiful flowers will soon grow. In the village, there is a large field of rapeseed flowers. The flowers cannot bloom all at once. Only some of them have bloomed, but there are many sweet clover blooming in patches on the edge of the field. After Suwon came back, he started drawing the blueprints of beehives and prepared to have a carpenter build a dozen beehives and place them on the ground to attract bees to build nests. The bees that collect honey are small bees. They will not sting people. They will live in places with many flowers, and when autumn comes, they will dry out honey. Suwon couldn't just let all his flower land go to waste. If he was planting such a large area of flowers, he had to make the best use of it. The bees get used to this place. They will build nests and produce honey here every year, and we will have natural honey to eat every year. Be used to make tea or mixed into medicine to enhance the beauty effect. This beehive is easy to make. A carpenter in the village can make a dozen in a few days. Jiang Sheng and Jiao Xing have taken good care of the flower fields, and some of the flowers that came this season have begun to grow buds. When they have nothing to do, the couple will help weed the Su family's rice fields and help Su's father clean the yard. Jiang Sheng saw that Su's father's water tank was empty. She would take the initiative to fill it up with water, making the monthly salary that Suwon gave to their family worthwhile. In the fields are in bloom, and the roses will soon be in bloom. When they bloom, they will be bright red and cover the entire shed. It will be beautiful. Suwon came to inspect the fields. The flowers he planted and some wild flowers blooming in spring mixed together. The fragrance was overwhelming. Suwon came to inspect the fields, and Jiangyu followed her silently. Many beautiful butterflies were flying around, and from time to time a few bees could be seen, either flying or staying on the flowers. Suwon saw that the jasmine was growing very well, with lush green leaves. Jasmine is also in bloom, and the flowering period lasts until August. There were many flower buds that had not yet opened, wrapped in leaves. Suwon lowered his head to smell them, and could still smell the pleasant fragrance of jasmine. She couldn't help but smile comfortably. "Do you like jasmine very much?" Jiangyu asked. He remembered that her favorite flower was hibiscus, wasn't it? "Well, I really like the scent of jasmine. Don't you think jasmine smells really good?" "In my opinion, of all flowers, I think jasmine smells the best."
Suwon replied.
"So, which one do you like better, hibiscus or jasmine?" Jiangyu wanted to hear her answer. "Hibiscus, if I have to choose, I would definitely choose hibiscus, but jasmine is not bad either. Perhaps compared with roses and peonies, it is really too ordinary, but its fragrance can make people feel comfortable and peaceful. They often bloom in the middle of the night, and the fragrance will quietly pass through the window and into the nose of the sleeping person, allowing people to sleep well all night. It is selfless, not competitive, not showing off, and not revealing. People love its fragrance but are unwilling to be ordinary like it. I am the same, unwilling to be ordinary, but do you know what the flower language of hibiscus is?" Jiangyu had never thought about the language of flowers. He only knew that each flower had a different character. "My mother once said that hibiscus represents elegance, purity, and nobility. Although it is not as elegant as peony, it is beautiful in its own way. Because my mother loves hibiscus, I also love hibiscus the most because I think my mother is such a woman." Jiangyu thought of his mother. A trace of sadness flashed across his face, and he pretended to smile meaninglessly. "But I love hibiscus, not because it is noble and elegant, but because there is a flower language of hibiscus, saying that it represents the purest love. As for me, although I am not willing to be ordinary and do not want to live a dull life, I also want to live a spectacular life. I may be careless about other things, but not about feelings. I require my future partner to have feelings for me that are like the flower language of hibiscus, without any impurities." Suwon suddenly stood face to face with him, spoke these words word by word, and looked directly into his eyes. At that moment, she felt a surge of courage in her heart. After she said these words, she herself didn't understand why she said them.
Can he understand?
Jiangyu understood, and although he seemed calm, his heart was in turmoil. His hands behind his back were clenched with excitement and turned white. "Why don't you tell me in detail what your future significant other is like?" The two of them talking to each other. Suwon turned her back again and took a deep breath. Fortunately, she had just blocked it. She thought that her performance should be relatively natural. Do you mean inner character or outward appearance? I want to hear them all. Jang Yutsai didn't make any choices. He wanted to know everything. Soo-won pretended to think, then began to describe. The person I will spend my life with must not be too ugly, at least not worse than my brothers. Also, he must not be too short, otherwise he will look unreliable. If he encounters any danger, I will have to protect him, which will be boring. He must not be too thin or too fat. It would be best if he knows some martial arts and has to have some money. I want to be a big boss in the future, and my brothers are all going to be successful. If he is poorer than me, wouldn't it be a mismatch? As for character, he must have a correct outlook on life, be able to distinguish right from wrong, and if some inconsiderate girls act weak in front of him and frame others, he must stand by my side at the first opportunity and expose them harshly. He must only have me in his eyes and always think that I am the most beautiful. He must unconditionally honor my parents, respect my elder brothers, and learn to obey the rules. That's all for now. Soo-won listed a lot of things and even counted his fingers one by one before he finished stating his request, but it was still temporary. Jong-yu nodded as she spoke, because he was in line with everything she said and could do it all. That is, he didn't quite understand the last sentence about the 3 obediences and 4 virtues. Isn't this sentence meant for women? Although he never recognized the constraints of the 3 obediences and 4 virtues on women, he was also curious about what Soo-won was referring to. 3 obediences and 4 virtues? Jong-yu looked puzzled. When Soo-won saw his puzzled face, she naturally wanted to answer his questions. For me, the so-called 3 obediences and 4 things are: obey my orders, obey my anger, and follow me when I go out. These are the 3 obediences. I have to wait while I put on my makeup, I have to endure my anger, I have to be willing to spend money, and I have to remember to discipline. These are the 4 things. Soo-won proudly spoke of her 3 obediences and 4 virtues, and Jong-yu smiled unkindly. His little girl is indeed different from others. She is the most unique and so cute. He accepted the 3 obediences and 4 gains. What? Do you think I'm daydreaming? Soo-won thought he was making fun of her for being unrealistic. Jong-yu opened his fan and fanned himself, saying with a smile, "You being ridiculous. Am I that kind of person? Aren't these the qualities that a qualified husband must possess? Is any of that too much? I can do it anyway." Jong-yu said it so easily, and it seemed that he was not just simply agreeing with Soo-won, but really believed it. That's great. Your future wife will be so lucky. Jong-yu's future wife is tired of saying that she envies him. In fact, didn't she realize that these rules she set were tailor-made for the person in her heart? It seems that the requirements are high, but that person can meet them. Then this blessing is given to you. Do you want it? Jong-yu suddenly approached Soo-won, bent down and spoke to her, so close that his breath could spray on her face. Soo-won got goosebumps all over his body and kept leaning back. "I'm still young," she stammered for a long time, but finally couldn't bear it anymore and blurted out these words, then ran away, leaving a distance of several meters between her and him. Jong-yu looked at the empty ground in front of him and smiled helplessly. Yes, she is still young. The atmosphere was silent for a long time. Soo-won no longer had the heart to look at the flowers. She walked in the fields, feeling heavy-hearted and repeatedly thinking about the meaning of his words. At this time, Jong-yu spoke again. "Don't you want to ask me what my ideal partner is like?" "What is it like?" Soo-won wanted to ask, but she couldn't find a way to start. Now that he said it himself, it actually helped her. "The girl I like must be different from the others, with a sweet smile, soft words, filial piety, intelligence, and beauty. She is as meticulous as a hare and has a kind heart. She is like the brightest star in the sky and the gentlest wind in the mountains. No one can replace her, and no one can compare to her. By the way, she must be good at business because I like girls who can make money." Jong-yu's hint was obvious enough. Even a fool like Soo-won could have heard it, and Jong-yu almost called out her name. She was excited and nervous, but was she really as good as he said? Or is she just being overly sentimental again? There are many girls in this world who can make money. You have to take your time to choose. She deliberately joked, making Jong-yu very helpless. Yes, there are too many girls in the world who can make money, but I probably only like the one with the sweetest smile. There are so many people who smile sweetly, and there are always mountains higher than the other. Soo-won continued to make fun of him. Jong-yu really couldn't do anything about her. This girl did it on purpose. He stopped talking, and Soo-won felt lost again. He pulled a piece of dogtail grass to play with it in annoyance. Holding the dogtail grass, she recalled last year, when Jong-yu also liked to hold it in his mouth, looking nonchalant. If it were an ordinary person, this kind of image would only make people feel disgusted, but he could do it so well, like a gentleman with a bad character. When they reached the main road, a white dog passed by them, wagging its tail and looking very happy. Soo-won suddenly thought of her cat Wonkai. If nothing had happened, he would probably be this big too. When I turned around, I found that Jong-yu was also looking at the dog, and he even started laughing as he looked at it. Soo-won suddenly wanted to tease him. She stood there waiting for him, looking at him with a smile. Jong-yu felt a little uncomfortable when she looked at him. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Soo-won waved to him, and he walked towards her. "What's wrong? What do you want to do now?" Looking at her expression, Jong-yu knew that she had bad intentions, but he was willing to take the bait. "Look down, there's dirt on your face." Jong-yu lowered her head obediently, and she scratched her chin with her hand and said, "That's good." She teased him like a puppy and looked at him with a smug look on her face. "Good little dog, I was just kidding you, there is nothing dirty on your face." After Soo-won's provocation, he wanted to withdraw his hand and run away. Her hand back, Jong-yu grabbed her wrist, and she failed to escape. Jong-yu's eyes were filled with storms again, reflecting Soo-won's face clearly, with forbearance and excitement. In short, his eyes were not innocent. "I was wrong. If you don't like it, I will never do this again." Soo-won thought that he was treated like a puppy, and he was unhappy and angry. As a result, Jong-yu grabbed her hand, rubbed the back of her hand gently with his chin, and said seriously, "I'll wait for you to grow up. She is still young now, and he has some feelings, but he can only try his best to suppress them, not wanting to scare her. Because he was afraid that he really wouldn't be able to control himself and would want to kiss her. Wouldn't that make him a beast?" Starting from emotion and ending with courtesy, Jong-yu let go of her hand and walked away first. Soo-won stood there in a daze, unable to recover for a long time. Jong-yu in front of her turned around and called her. "Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and follow me." He calmed down quickly, and after the flirting, it was as if nothing had happened. Only Soo-won was repeatedly brainwashed by the words, "Wait until you grow up." What does he mean? Is he dissatisfied with his youth? However, this body of hers was indeed still young, only 14 years old, and Jong-yu was 5 years older than her. A few days later, more than a dozen beehives were delivered to the Soo family. Soo-won placed 2 of the beehives in the back garden and placed the rest in a shed in the flower field for collective feeding. If you are successful in attracting bees, consider adding more beehives. However, there are some tricks to attracting bees. After the beehive is made, it needs to be roasted and smoked over a fire to dilute the smell of people inside. Soo-won had gone to inquire about beekeeping families a long time ago. Honey had not yet become popular in this dynasty, so honey was not circulated on the market. The only honey nests that exist are those found in the wild. After tasting them, some people found that they are sweet, and the honey inside is especially good for the human body. Therefore, some people in Jean State went up the mountains specifically to look for this wild honey. However, this kind of wild honey is very expensive on the market and is only supplied to the nobility. Only people with status or wealth can afford it. However, wild honey is rare. Most of it is purchased by the royal family, and a small portion is in the homes of princes and nobles. The amount that can be circulated on the market is also extremely expensive. Soo-won boiled some sugar water and smeared it inside the beehive, which was the key to attracting bees. Originally, the best wax is the one used on the beehive, but this thing is hard to find. Soo-won learned from a video in modern times that some large beekeepers use sugar directly to raise bees. Honey raised with sugar is naturally not as authentic as the honey made by the bees themselves, but it is enough to attract bees. There are already many bees in the flower fields, flying around stealthily. This season is the time for bees to divide their cells, and they need to find a suitable place to build a hive. These sneaky bees are the scout bees sent out by the large group. Su-won called his third brother, Jong-yu, and Jong-sheng and his wife, and the group of people went to the fields to catch a lot of scout bees. They put them into the beehives in batches to let them get familiar with the environment. The smell of the hive inside will make them relax their vigilance and choose this location as a hive. Moreover, there are flowers everywhere nearby, and they like places like this. Let the scout bees go in to familiarize themselves with the environment, and then release them after a cup of tea. Once they're familiar with the environment, they will go back to notify the main group to move. When Su-won went to check the next day, he found that most of the beehives were already full of bees. A small number of them had less, but there were still bees in them. This indicated that the bee luring was successful, and they just had to wait for the bees to collect honey in the future. Mr. and Mrs. Jong have been learning all the time. Su-won has ordered more than 20 beehives and plans to fill the flower fields with them. These bees will also be taken care of by Mr. and Mrs. Jong in the future. Take care of the beehives, remove the dead bees in time, and prevent birds from attacking the bees. In short, they will have work to do in the future. Su-won has already taught him how to attract bees, and will let them take care of the next 20 beehives themselves. She will come back to check on the situation 2 months later. The most urgent thing is to rush back to Xiangzhou to do something. Counting the days, the war will break out on the border in 2 months. By then, hundreds of thousands of troops will need a lot of money and food to feed them. Taxes after autumn will double, and the price of food will rise. Ordinary people will have to pay taxes, and they can only take food if they don't have silver. But if the tax rate doubles, people will have to pay the food but will have nothing to eat, and will have to go to the market to buy it. Since ancient times, the world has been unstable, and the people have suffered the most. She had to go back and stockpile as much food as possible at home before the price of food went up. This war will last for several years, and it will only get more and more chaotic. The Shuanha River basin has been suffering from constant floods, and the harvest has already been barren. By then, the price of food will increase, so we should make plans in advance. It stands to reason that war should not be waged in a year of disaster, but the border kept provoking, and seeing that the situation in Jin State was not good, they had already assembled hundreds of thousands of troops, so they had to fight. After staying at home for several days, Su-won, Su-chun, and Jong-yu prepared to return to Xiangzhou Prefecture. Su-won had to go back to buy food, and she had to do it secretly. Otherwise, if everyone knew that she was preparing for a rainy day and secretly hoarding food, wouldn't it easily cause misunderstanding? It was too far-fetched for her to know about the border war and the increase in food prices without hearing any rumors in Xiangzhou. We set out in the morning, the sky was foggy, and it looked like it was going to rain. Father Su was reluctant to let his daughter go. Who doesn't want to stay with their family forever? After the rice at home is harvested, he can go to Xiangzhou to reunite with his family. He got up early in the morning to make pancakes and steamed buns for them to eat on the road. The journey was so long and there was no place to eat on the road, so they couldn't let them starve. Wan, save these for the journey. Don't go hungry. It can be seen that Father Su was reluctant to leave them. Before Su-won left, he gave him a big hug. Dad, we are waiting for you to reunite in Xiangzhou. The word, Daddy, sounded so sweet that it melted Father Su's heart. Okay, you have to take good care of yourself in Xiangzhou, don't get sick, and remember to eat no matter how busy you are. Ah Chun, protect your sister, do you hear me? Father Su looked loving when facing his daughter, but looked serious when facing his son. Su-chun was helpless and shrugged his shoulders. I know. I will take good care of Wanwan even if you don't tell me. Only then did Father Su nod in satisfaction and look at Jong-yu again. Ayu, when you get to Xiangzhou, you can have fun, eat, and live in our house as long as you want. Jong-yu bowed to him. Don't worry, uncle. I won't be polite. The carriage set off. The road out of the village had a bumpy section. Su-chun was driving outside, and Jong-yu was also outside with him. Su-won stayed in the carriage alone. As soon as she got in the carriage, she felt sleepy. The swaying feeling was very hypnotic. In modern times, if she sits in a car for more than an hour, She will feel sleepy and cannot resist the sleepiness. The weather is not very good today. The leaves are rustling in the mountain wind, and swallows are flying low. It seems that it is going to rain. Seeing that the weather was bad, Suchin told Jongyu to find a place to shelter from the rain first, and not to rush on their journey, because safety was the most important thing. Jongyu is fine. It's okay for two grown men like them, but there's a pretty girl inside. He opened the door and looked inside. The girl was lying on the window, resting her head on her arms, her mouth slightly open, sleeping soundly. Suchin also took a look and smiled lovingly. Wanwan tends to fall asleep when she sits in a carriage. Suchin gradually slowed down the speed of the carriage, wanting to let his sister sleep more comfortably, but the wind outside the carriage was already carrying raindrops that hit people's faces. Ayu, you go in first, I'll be there outside. He had been with him for most of the day, so Suchin let him get into the carriage. Jongyu nodded. Since he didn't have the chance to be alone with Suwon, he certainly wouldn't refuse and got into the carriage swiftly. Suwon was still sleeping. A few drops of rain from the window hit her face, and her little face wrinkled. Jongyu took out a handkerchief from his sleeve and carefully wiped the rain off her face. It was quite tiring to sleep in this position. Suwon's arms were numb from sleeping on the pillow, and her neck was sore. Jongyu had just pulled his hand back when Suwon woke up. When she opened her eyes, she saw him sitting opposite her, smiling at her. Are you awake? It's raining outside. Suwon covered his neck and squinted at the sky outside. As soon as Jongyu finished speaking, several thunders sounded and heavy rain poured down. Third brother, come in and take shelter from the rain. She first thought of her brother and knocked on the carriage door. Suchin was driving outside. It was too dark, the rain was too heavy, and the wind was too strong. He did not see clearly that there was a big hole in front of him. By the time he saw it, it was too late. Both wheels of the carriage were stuck in the hole. Suwon lost his balance and was almost thrown out of the window. Jongyu grabbed her arm and pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. He protected her head with his hands and pressed it against his chest. The nose was instantly filled with the smell of Jongyu, and the senses were completely filled. Are you okay? Sit tight, I'll go out and take a look. He lifted her off his body with both hands and made her sit beside him, all in one smooth motion. Everyone in Suwon was stunned, their hearts beating so fast that they were almost suffocating. Jongyu came out of the carriage. Half of Suchen's body was wet by the rain. He looked at Jongyu helplessly. Half of the carriage was stuck in the pit. I didn't notice. The wheel fell inside. Where's Wanwan? Was she not hit? She's fine, don't worry. Jongyu took a look at the big pit. In just a short while, it was filled with mud and water, which showed how strong the wind and rain were, with just the strength of him and Suchen. So he looked up at the sky and blew a loud whistle with his hand. Not long after, a saker falcon circled in the sky, making a loud cry, as if responding to Jongyu. Okay, let's go in and take shelter from the rain. Someone will come to help us soon. He had already asked Hai Dongqing to notify his secret guards, who were following not far behind him and would catch up soon. Suchen nodded, and they both got back into the carriage. Suchan was soaked, not even his hair was spared. Jongyu had only been out for a short while, but his light purple robe had been turned dark by the rain. Suwon handed them the bags and asked them to change into dry clothes. You two should change quickly, or you'll catch a cold. I'll change it later until they get here. Jongyu would have to go down and push the carriage in a while, and would have to get wet in the rain again, so there was no rush to change. Suwon knew that Jongyu couldn't have gone without someone following him. It was just that they were hiding in the dark and didn't show up, probably because they were afraid of affecting them. In just a cup of tea's time, the sound of hurried horse hooves was heard behind him, and 6 secret guards on horseback came. They were wearing straw raincoats, straw hats, and had swords on their waists, just like the chivalrous knights in TV dramas. They saw the carriage stuck in the pit and all dismounted and gathered around. Jongyu and Suchen had also jumped off the carriage, letting the rain hit them. Secret guard tried to take off his raincoat, but was stopped by Jongyu. No, get to work and lift the carriage up. Or, I'd better come down. I'll just add to the burden if I stay up there. Suwon felt that he could neither help nor cause trouble. You stay up there, don't come down, and get wet. I have thick skin and flesh, so I won't catch a cold. Hold on tight inside, don't fall. Suchin dotes on his sister very much, so how could he bear to let her get out of the car and get wet in the rain? Girl, even if there are 3 of you, we can still lift you up.
Come on, sit down.
One of Jiang Yu's secret guards spoke, but was given a sidelong glance by his master, and another secret guard hit the speaking guard with his elbow. I thought you are courting death by stealing the young master's lines. With the combined efforts of 8 people, the carriage was quickly lifted up, and the tilted carriage became stable. It can be said that his sense of security is overflowing. Suwon always feels that with Jiang Yu around, many things have become reliable. Suchin and Jiang Yu were soaked like drowned rats, with not a single dry spot on their bodies. To be honest, if Jiang Yu hadn't followed them this time, they would have been trapped here. The person driving outside turned out to be Jiang Yu's man. Suchin and he both sat back in the car, their bodies covered in water stains. Suwon handed them the clothes and asked them to change. However, the carriage was so small that she had to avoid suspicion, and it was raining heavily outside. Wanwan, don't worry, you can go back and change it. Suchin knew it was inconvenient, so he just let it stay wet. He didn't care anyway because he was tough.
How can that be?
You will catch a cold. Change quickly. I won't peek. Suwon covered his eyes. He looked so obedient. Although, Suchin still felt it was weird. It was just inappropriate. His own sister was in the car, and he couldn't change clothes calmly here. Then I'll cover my eyes, is that okay? Suwon covered his face with his bag, and Suchun and Jiang Yu smiled unkindly. Suchin took her bag away and said jokingly, Aren't you afraid of holding yourself back? It's okay, Wanwan. The weather isn't cold, so you won't catch a cold. Moreover, he and Jiang Yu are both martial artists. How could they get sick so easily? The rain was so heavy that the road was full of potholes and difficult to walk on. We had to find a place to take shelter from the rain while we looked ahead. Jiang Yu's secret guards found a cave nearby, where they rested for a while until the rain stopped, and then continued to rush back to Xiangzhou Prefecture. The carriage stopped at the entrance of the cave. A fire had been lit inside. Suwon got off the carriage and went in to take shelter from the rain. Jiang Yu and Suchin changed their clothes inside and cleaned the carriage. The secret guards took out dried meat and wine from somewhere, roasted them, and gave them to Suwon to eat. Girl, have some dried meat to fill your stomach. There's some wine here. Suchin also took some water and pancakes from the carriage. As soon as he entered the cave, he saw Suwon holding a piece of dried meat and chewing it hard. The dried meat was very hard and had a bland taste. They often ate this to fill their stomachs when they were out and about. Suwon was very considerate and finished eating the jerky. After that, he went on to eat the pancakes, the latter of which tasted even better. Jiang Yu was wiping his hair. His face was not clear under the firelight, but he noticed Suwon's gaze and met her gaze generously and smiled at each other. Suwon's heart was a little excited. She always felt that the atmosphere between them was a little ambiguous, but it was often these just right ambiguities that were the most heart-moving. The rain stopped in the evening. In order not to spend the night in the mountains, we set out overnight and rushed back to Xiangzhou. They are numerous and all of them are skilled in martial arts, so they are not afraid of walking at night. However, the mountain roads in ancient times were not the same as the modern ones. Suwon still felt a little creepy in the dark carriage. When he heard the faint howling of wolves outside, he began to have wild thoughts. But fortunately, Suchin and Jiang Yu were also in the carriage with her. If she was alone, she would still be very scared. She was just a little girl and didn't have any special skills. Finally, they arrived at Xiangzhou City safely, but the city gate was closed in the middle of the night. There were soldiers standing guard at the gate. Jiang Yu's secret guards held a badge, and they let them pass after checking it. According to convention, he would definitely not be allowed to pass at this time. After all, Jiang Yu also has a status in Kyoto, so the officials in Xiangzhou are not to be trifled with. The 3 of them returned home late at night. There was no doorman at home, so Suchin had to climb over the wall and open the door. Suwon thought that it was time to hire a few servants to guard the house. Otherwise, In such a big house, thieves might sneak in and steal without anyone knowing. If it was just some lost items, it would be fine, but I'm worried that people might get hurt. When Sue's mother woke up from her sleep, she found that her son and daughter had returned, but she didn't hear any noise at all. If she hadn't seen that the horses in the stable were tied up, she might still be in the dark. It rained so heavily yesterday. My uncle was supposed to go to Qingyuan County to deliver goods, so he was delayed for a day. My fifth brother Su-yi also didn't go to the stall because of the heavy rain. During the days that Su-won was away, he had become famous in the street with the tea stalls. People who wanted his portrait painted had to line up every day, and the queue had stretched out for several days. There were even daughters of wealthy families who had come to him specifically with scrolls to paint their portraits, requesting full-body paintings, similar to those of ladies. Su-yi is also very smart. He would charge 3 taels of silver for a pair of such grand drawings. For rich people, 3 taels of silver are nothing. The daughters of these wealthy families, when they reach a certain age, should talk about marriage. When they choose a suitable family to discuss the marriage, the two parties can directly avoid meeting in person and just present portraits to each other first. If they decide the couple is a good match, they can arrange a meeting. Su-yi's paintings are vivid and almost capture the essence of people's appearance. Su-won had been away for 10 days, and he had already earned hundreds of taels of silver. After painting for many days in a row, he took a day off because of the heavy rain yesterday. The sky is still gloomy today. Su-yi saw Su-won coming back and decided to take another day off as he wanted to take her shopping. Su-won was about to go out. She took some silver notes with her to buy enough food for her home. 1 shur is equal to 1 do and 1 liter. 1 shur of rice is equal to 120 jin, 1 do is equal to 12 jin, and 1 liter is equal to 1.2 jin. Before the war, 1 stone of rice cost about 10 taels of silver. Once the war broke out, the price would double. In Xiangzhou, it was still relatively stable, but in some areas, the price even more than tripled. Before the price went up, Su-won bought enough food and stored it at home. This was to give him peace of mind, and also to avoid wasting extra money later. People in the family, we need to prepare at least 30 shur of rice for 3 years. The granary in the mansion has been renovated. The wood used and the location are both most suitable for storing rice. It can prevent rats and moisture, and it can be stored for 3 years without any problem. The only difference is that the new rice has become stale rice, and the taste is different. In addition, the prices of flour, grain, and oil will also increase, so they have to buy some in reserve. Su-won also plans to set aside an area in the backyard to raise pigs and sheep. Su-yi followed her to the street. The fifth brother was acting mysterious, and Su-won didn't know what he was going to do. He pulled her directly into the clothing shop. Won, fifth brother has made some money, and he will buy you a beautiful skirt first. We will buy whatever you like, and then buy a few for mother, aunt, and cousin Qingqing as well. The fifth brother takes care of all the women in the family equally. For him to earn this money, he painted it all by himself, stroke by stroke. It took a lot of energy and long periods of concentration. Fifth brother, why do you need to spend so much money? You should save the money you earn. But Su-yi doesn't think so. Won, this is the first time in my life that I've made money. It is of great significance. It is because you gave me the right guidance. So, please don't be polite to me. There are many firsts in life, and each first time is of great significance. Su-yi just wants to share his joy with the most important people. Su-won was very touched. She carefully picked out 2 sets of clothes she liked and also picked out 2 sets for her mother, her aunt, and Qingqing. The prices were not the most expensive, but not the cheapest either. It cost him several dozen taels. After leaving the clothing shop, Su-yi wanted to take her to the jewelry shop. Su-won didn't want her fifth brother to lose money, so she refused to go with him no matter what. She went straight to the grain and oil shop to buy rice. At one time, which amounted to 3,600 kilograms, which was not a big number and could be bought in a grain and oil store. He also bought an additional 1,000 kilograms of flour, and the total cost was more than 300 taels of silver. Su-yi didn't know why Su-won wanted to buy so much food at one time. He didn't ask because he knew that Suwon must have his own considerations. The food was delivered to the home, filling the granary. Suwon also hired someone to build a fence in the backyard and raised a dozen piglets and a dozen sheep. My uncle went to Qingyuan County and brought back a piece of news when he came back. It was said that the magistrate of Qingyuan County was suddenly dismissed from office and imprisoned. It was said that he was not strict in his administration during his tenure and was unworthy of the job, which led to complaints from the people of Qingyuan. His only son was addicted to women and was notorious. He was sentenced to exile 3,000 miles away and reduced to servantry. This is retribution. Now that the magistrate of Qingyuan County has fallen, my uncle's family can finally rest assured. They don't have to worry about returning home in the future, and my cousin Qingqing can also choose a good husband with peace of mind. It's true when it comes to this. Young Qingqing will be 17 soon, and it's time for her to find a good family. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Suwon asked his uncle to quickly transfer the household registration to Xiangzhou and then choose a husband for Yang Qingqing in Xiangzhou. Firstly, her uncle will be in Xiangzhou for a long time to help Suwon with work. Secondly, Xiangzhou is such a large area, and the residents living in this city are generally of higher quality and better family conditions. Even if she can't find a rich family for her, at least her family will not have to worry about food and drink. The reputation of goat milk soap has become popular in Xiangzhou, and it is widely known in every household. Nowadays, Xia Madam's shop sells hundreds of soaps every day and several thousand per month, which is far beyond expectations. The products are also selling like hotcakes in the surrounding counties, with at least thousands of yuan being sent to each place every month. When the business expanded to neighboring Suzhou and Yenzhou, the workshop had to be expanded and staff added. On average, more than 10,000 bars of soap would be produced each month. Dyed goat milk soap and floral goat milk soap have the highest sales volume. Hair and bath soaps are rare and limited in quantity, so you have to queue if you want to buy them. The most common goat milk soap is affordable by almost everyone in Xiangzhou. The most common people use the first generation, and those who are slightly better off can spend a little more money to use dyed laundry machines. Floral goat milk soap, specially designed for bathing and hand cleaning. At the latest, next month, Suguan will go to Suzhou to open the market and open up the markets in Suzhou and Yenzhou within 2 months. When the new county magistrate of Qingyuan County took office, my uncle took the household registration documents back to transfer his household registration. Now his family is also a city dweller in Xiangzhou Prefecture. Because Yang Qingqing wanted to choose a husband, but they were living in the Su family now, which was not very convenient, so they thought about renting a small yard near the workshop and moving out. Enough money in the future. I will buy a yard for myself and live there with my family in peace. Near the workshop, which was big enough for their family of 4 to live in. The courtyard was very clean, and the floor, walls, and other things were all made of brand new blue bricks. Suwon took his uncle and others to the dental clinic and asked people about suitable small courtyards on the 2 streets near the workshop. There are many that meet the requirements. The Sihiyuan is the most basic building in Xiangzhou, but it is also divided into different levels. The newly built ones are definitely the best. The yard is very spacious and has everything you need, with its own door and well, making daily life very convenient. There are 3 master bedrooms, 2 secondary bedrooms, and a separate kitchen and woodshed. The uncle did not ask Suwon for help, saying that he wanted to borrow money to buy it directly, because Suwon's business was just starting out. He bought a house, set up a workshop, and bought so many servants. All in all, it cost several thousand taels, and he was just barely making back his investment, so they were too embarrassed to ask for help. Their monthly salary is now 20 taels, and it has been 2 months. Together with the money they have saved, it is enough to rent the yard. They chose a yard closest to the workshop. Suwon was a regular customer of the dental clinic, so for her sake, they charged 5 taels of silver a month, with a minimum rent of half a year, which was 30 taels. If you buy this yard, the price is 350 taels. Of course, if they work hard with Suwon, the bigger the business, the more money they will make, and their salaries will be raised gradually. They will soon be able to realize their dream of buying a house in Xiangzhou and even buy a better yard. My uncle and his family had never thought of becoming city dwellers, let alone settling down and buying a house in Xiangzhou. His sister and brother-in-law have not forgotten him and are still supporting him. Not to mention how nice a mansion he will live in the future. It is already hard-earned to have the conditions he has now. Even if he risks his life, he will protect this property for Su Wan. Su Wan, Su Chen, Su Yi, and Jiang Yu helped their uncle's family move to a new home. They cleaned the house and bought furniture. They did everything by themselves. Young Master Jiang was even assigned by Su Wan to sweep the yard, and he did not ask anyone else to do it. In the dark saw this, and watched their young master sweeping the floor seriously. It was the first time in history. The contrast was too great, and they dared not look directly at him. The uniqueness of this yard lies in the fact that there is a peach tree in the yard, which produces peaches every year. It blooms in spring and bears fruit in autumn, which is a beautiful sight. This was also a deliberate convenience made by Yixing in order to please his financial sponsor Su Wan. Su Wan made a signboard for his soap, and the three big characters, Yuantang, were printed on each piece of soap. In addition to the prints representing the fragrance on the wrapping paper, there are also three small red characters, Yuantang, printed in the upper right corner. These three words have been approved by the government. No one can use the Yuantang signboard from now on. The reason for doing this is, firstly, that it represents that the goat milk soap is an exclusive product of Yuantang, and its reputation will be spread, which will be beneficial for Su Wan to open a store in the future. When people see the three words Yuantang, they will think of Yuantang's goat milk soap. Secondly, Su Wan has the code to wealth, which is the recipe of the jade face cream that Jiang Yu gave her. In the future, Yuantang will also develop beauty and cosmetics business, and this jade face cream will become the main signature item of the store together with the goat milk soap. When Su Wan asked the agents to sell soap, they would put the words Yuantang on the counter where the soap was placed to make it more impressive. When promoting your products, you must also bring the Yuantang signboard to make it deeply rooted in people's hearts. In Xiangzhou today, who doesn't know about Yuantang's goat milk soap? Previously, Yuantang was unknown and did not even have a store. However, in the large market of Xiangzhou, it quickly became popular in just 2 months. People in this dental shop also kept up with the trend and made goat milk soap a must-have in every home. The workshop from them and all business had to be registered. Therefore, they all knew that Su Wan was the owner of Yuan Hall and might be listed on the Xiangzhou rich list in the future, so they must curry favor with him. Before going to Suzhou and Yenzhou, Su Wan had to help her aunt find a husband for her cousin. She first asked Su Yi to draw a picture of a beauty for Yang Qingqing and then found the most famous matchmaker in Xiangzhou City and asked her to select a young man of marriageable age who met the requirements according to the requirements of her aunt and Yang Qingqing. With the support of a rising star like the Su family, the Yang family naturally has no trouble finding a good family. At the same time, Su Wan also wanted to make friends with Xiangzhou's upper-class circles. Their aristocratic families have their own circles. Although they look down on businessmen, due to conflicts of interest, they will also make friends in the business world to make profits. And these businessmen will also curry favor with these aristocratic families and seek their support. There are 2 famous noble families in Xiangzhou. Their ancestors either produced famous generals or were high-ranking officials who were enshrined in the imperial ancestral temple. However, in later years, the families gradually faded out of the court and spread among various states. Basically, there are a few families in name only in every province. The imperial court gave them titles, and although they are in name only, they have the right to speak in these provinces because of the word aristocratic family. The first-class title is Duke, the second-class title is Marquis, the third-class title is Earl, the fourth-class title is Viscount, and the fifth-class title is Baron. In Xiangzhou Prefecture alone, there were 2 Earl families. One is the Ningyuan Earl's mansion of the Ning family, and the other is the Changlong Earl's mansion of the Zhou family. Although they seemed to be noble and enjoyed a fief, they were far away in Xiangzhou and were basically forgotten by the emperor. They had titles but no real power, and the younger generations in their family could only rely on their own abilities to take part in imperial examinations and fight for their own official careers like ordinary students. But how many of these children from aristocratic families could make a name for themselves? They had been living a life of luxury since childhood, and they had won since they were born. There were only disputes over titles in the backyard, and no one relied on imperial examinations at all. So the late emperor issued an order that titles below the marquis would no longer be hereditary, but would be passed down through 3 generations, unless there was a capable person in the family who made contributions to the court, in which case the emperor might order the family to inherit the title for 3 more generations. From then on, these aristocratic families began to become inward-looking. There's no other way. The imperial court can't support idle people like you for generations. But the dukes and marquises are different. These families are controlled in Kyoto, and those who are capable have real power. For example, Duke Jiang led troops to fight. Duke Tang was the brother of the current queen, and his nephew was the crown prince of the Eastern Palace. Among the aristocratic families in Kyoto, they were the most important and the most powerful. However, Duke Zhong's ancestors had the merit of following the emperor, and several generations later were all famous generals. Their status was unshakable, and they also had military power in their hands. The 2 dukes were equally powerful. There is also a Marquis of Loyalty, who is also a military general. Unfortunately, he is very old and has no outstanding younger generations in his family, so he is only of equal fame now, and is far overshadowed by the up-and-coming Marquis of Yongchang. With these, the earls in Kyoto are nothing, not to mention those in Xiangzhou. Madame Xie was not an important figure in the circle of noble ladies in Xiangzhou, but her husband's family was also in the antique business, and she opened a rouge shop out of her interest and hobby. Rouge is an indispensable item for women, so she has a say in the circle of wealthy ladies. Getting to know her is equivalent to grasping the trends in the beauty circle. If there is any new rouge, wealthy ladies always like to look for her. Recently, the wife of the Earl of Ningyuan was having a birthday celebration, and she invited the wives of officials from Xiangzhou, as well as the ladies and young ladies from merchant families, to come to the tea party, which was very lively. Scholars, farmers, merchants, and artisans, these officials and merchants, although they look down on each other in private, they are still very harmonious on the surface. Unless they have a grudge against each other, then they will be sarcastic when they meet. Suwon's goat milk soap is now a popular product in Xiangzhou, so naturally, she cannot avoid integrating into the circle. It was Madame Xie who brought it up at the last gathering, because at that time all the noble ladies were asking her who was the boss behind the goat milk soap, so she took the opportunity to promote Suwon and spread the name of Yuyan Hall and Suwon. So, Suwon also received an invitation from the Earl's mansion. Suwon thought, this is a good opportunity. There are people doing big business and small business here. She can go there to make some acquaintances, so that she won't offend anyone when she meets them in the future just because she doesn't know them. She and Madame Xie became good friends naturally. She knew that if she could receive the invitation from the Earl's mansion, it must be due to Madame Xie's publicity in front of others. Suwon was a man who understood the ways of the world. That day he bought several kilograms of good tea and had someone deliver it to Madame Xie. When going to the Earl's mansion, Suwon planned to take Yang Qingqing with him, so that she could see the world. However, since it was the Countess's birthday, she had to prepare a gift, and she certainly couldn't be stingy. Even if it doesn't stand out among all the gifts, at least it won't be the last. Suwon had never dealt with people in this circle, so she was unsure. Giving them rouge and powder would be embarrassing, and giving them gold and silver jewelry would be tacky unless they were particularly good things. So what to give? When Suwon was at a loss, he thought of Jiang Yu. Given his status, he grew up in the world of fame and fortune. This kind of thing should be a piece of cake for him. When Jiang Yu heard that she was going to the Earl's mansion to attend a tea party and was worried about what gift to give, he also thought carefully for her. If it was a lady of high rank, I would just give her some outstanding jewelry, but this countess has a special status. She is from a third-class earl family, so she has no shortage of gold, silver, jewelry, silk, and satin. Yes, with my current ability, what other special gifts can I give besides these? This is my first time appearing at such an occasion. I can't lose face. If I make a fool of myself, how can I survive in Xiangzhou in the future? It was because she thought of this that she came to find Jiang Yu. I know you are knowledgeable, so can you give me some advice? If you help me choose a gift, I will give you money and I will never default on your debt. Suwon looked at him sincerely. Jiang Yu was amused by her. Why did she still ask him for help? However, he was very pleased with the little girl's attitude. Since Sixth Miss is so sincere, I will do you a favor. This is your first time attending such an event, and you are meeting the Countess, so the gift you give will be very particular. I will prepare the gift for you, and you can just bring it when the time comes. On the morning of the Countess's birthday, Jiang Yu finally delivered the gift. It was a very large item, and Jiang Yu found 4 people to move it. It was covered with red cloth, and when it was lifted, an exquisite 4-season screen was revealed. The screen represents the 4 seasons, and the representative scenery of each season is depicted vividly. What a beautiful screen! When Sue's mother saw this object, she couldn't help but sigh and reached out to touch it. You get close, you can smell a faint, pleasant aroma. This is due to the yellow rosewood. The embroidery on it is the rarest double-sided embroidery. It is not like ordinary screens, which are dyed. Compared with this double-sided embroidery, it is nothing. The most rare thing about this 4-season screen is that its wood is precious yellow rosewood, and the double-sided embroidery on it is also very rare. Jiang Yu introduced the unique features of the screen. After hearing what he said, it felt like this object exuded nobility from head to toe. If you like it, I'll ask someone to send you another one. No, that won't work. It's too expensive. Sue's mother quickly refused. She was just sighing casually and didn't mean it seriously. Suwon also felt that this thing must be very expensive, and she might not be able to afford it even with all her current belongings added together. This must be worth tens of thousands of taels of silver. I asked you to help me find a suitable gift, but you want me to spend all my money to pay for it. To be honest, even if she wanted to get to know the Countess, she wouldn't put in so much effort and spend so much money. Jiang Yu couldn't help but chuckle at her reluctant and embarrassed expression. Don't worry, little guy. It won't cost you much money. 2 years ago, I accidentally found a piece of top-quality Wangwali wood in the Nanhai area. I ordered people to dig it up and send it to Jiangnan. I made a lot of ornaments, such as 3 screens like this one, a Wangwali wood carved step-out bed, and a complete set of Wangwali wood furniture, including cabinets, coffee tables, and dressing boxes. I just hired a craftsman and spent some money. The embroiderer who can do double-sided embroidery is from my aunt's embroidery workshop. It didn't cost me any money. My aunt joked that the furniture made from this yellow rosewood will be used for my wedding in the future. He said was true. It really only cost nearly 1,000 taels to hire the craftsman. This rosewood is indeed very decent to use as a gift. If it is carried to the Earl's mansion, it will probably become the most outstanding gift of the day. It was just a coincidence that Suwon arrived there. This batch of ornaments had just been completed and was about to be shipped to Kyoto. When it passed through Xiangzhou, it was temporarily detained by Jiang Yu. That's even more sinful. We're using up all the ornaments for your future wedding.
How can that be?
Let's buy other gifts. When Sue's mother heard that it was for Jiang Yu's wedding, she didn't dare to accept it. Aunt, it's just a screen. Even if I get married in the future, I only need 1 screen in my room. This 4-season screen is the least noticeable and the best-looking of the 3 screens. I will leave it to my future wife. When Jiang Yu talked about his future wife, he looked at Suwon with a meaningful look. His peach blossom eyes were full of smiles, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, which made Suwon's heart beat fast again. What a fox. He's really killing me. He flirts with her openly and secretly. Besides, it's too late to look for other gifts now. It's almost time for the 6th Miss to attend the banquet. To send a gift, it is best to visit at 9 p.m. It is not good to be too early, nor is it good to be too late. It was just after the host's breakfast and before lunch. Okay, I'll owe you a favor. How much money do you want for this screen? We'll discuss it when I come back. Since he said so, Suwon was not polite anymore. Today, her debut in the circle of wealthy ladies is a good opportunity to spread her name. Su Chun had already harnessed the carriage. Suwon was also dressed up well today. She wore a very decent dress. The outer garment was light pink and the inner shirt was bright red, which made her look pure, refined, gentle, and elegant. Sue's mother combed her hair into a perfect bun that matched her style today, without being too revealing. She wore a purple jade hairpin with hibiscus flowers that Jiangyu gave her on her head. Jiangyu was very satisfied when he saw it. Alone is very impressive, and with Sun Linger's mutton fat jade bracelet, looking at her outfit, she really has the style of a female boss, elegant yet not vulgar. Yang Qingqing also dressed up specially, but she could not overshadow Suwon. When Suwon arrived at the gate of Earl Ning's mansion, there were already several carriages parked there. Madame Xie had just arrived. Suwon got off the carriage, and the female relatives around her looked at her as unfamiliar. When Madame Xie saw her coming, she stepped forward and took her arm. Today, she will bring Suwon with her. My dear sister, you are here. You are so beautiful today. The mutton fat jade bracelet on your hand is of great quality. It must be worth a lot, right? As she held her hand, she naturally noticed the bracelet on her wrist and estimated that the quality of the jade bracelet must be very valuable. Not bad. Today is my first time to the Earl's mansion. I'm grateful to Madame Xie for taking the trouble to guide me. Okay. We are so familiar with each other, I won't ignore you, let's go. The female relatives didn't know Suwon at first, but when they saw that Madame Xie was familiar with her, they didn't say anything at the door and waited until they went inside to gossip about everything. Jiangyu's people carried the gift and registered it at the gatehouse. The registered name was Miss Su Lu from Yuan Hall. Suwon followed Madame Xie into the main hall. The Countess had not arrived yet. Usually, she, the protagonist, would make her final appearance after all the guests arrived. Today's occasion is really grand. Although it is just a simple tea party, all the important people in Xiangzhou are here. The main hall is where the female guests sit and drink tea, and the backyard garden is where the male guests rest. On such occasions, noble ladies would bring their sons and daughters to participate. If there were younger generations of appropriate age in the family, both legitimate and illegitimate would be brought along so that they could take this opportunity to get to know each other. So today the Ningyuan Earl's mansion is really bustling. On the way, Madame Xie told her about the personnel composition of the Earl's mansion. The Earl and his wife had a son and a daughter, so her son would naturally be the young Earl of the Earl's mansion. The Earl also had 2 concubines who gave birth to 2 illegitimate daughters. Compared with the legitimate daughters, they could basically be ignored. Then, there is an old lady above us, but she is in poor health and basically never appears in such occasions. Arriving at the main hall, those seats near the main seat are all the wives of officials from Xiangzhou. The first one on the right is the Countess of Changlong and her daughter-in-law, the first one on the left is the wife of the governor of Xiangzhou, and so on, and in the back half are the business families. She and Madame Xie were at the same table, and the seats were almost lined up to the door. In front were the families of wealthy merchants from Xiangzhou. Yang Qingqing knelt on the cushion behind her, accompanying her obediently. She didn't say much, but just looked around at the wealth of the Earl's mansion. Before the Countess arrived, these noble ladies were walking back and forth chatting. Many of them knew Madame Xie, and when they saw there were unfamiliar faces around her, they came to ask her about things. Oh, Madame Xie, you actually brought a companion here today. Why don't you introduce her to us? Whose family is this lady from? Suwon was not nervous at all. She could still handle such a situation. She nodded slightly at them as a greeting. This is the woman behind the scenes of Yuantang goat milk soap, Miss Su Lu, whom I told you about earlier. When it comes to goat milk soap, they have an impression of it. Ladies here, has anyone ever used goat milk soap? So this is the female boss you mentioned. She looks very young. How old is she now? Is she married? Madame Xie leaned close to Suwon's ear and told her which lady was speaking. This is Mrs. Lu. Her family made their fortune by brewing wine. Their signature wine is the hereditary daughter's red wine. When buying wine in Xiangzhou, people will look for her family's time-honored brand. Mrs. Lu, I am 15 years old and still unmarried. You are amazing. You are so young, and you have started your own business. We have used your goat milk soap, and it is really good. Especially the Shandon one, which I like very much. I wonder what flavor you will come up with next. There will be jasmine next season, which smells good and can help you sleep. If you are interested, you can try it. Suwon responded to them calmly and with ease, and got along with them quite harmoniously. However, those who came to talk to her were all businessmen's families. The wives of officials were more aloof than each other, and were unwilling to pay attention to them. After much difficulty, the Countess finally arrived, accompanied by her daughter, Miss Ning. The Countess has arrived. Following a shout from outside the door, the female members of the family hurried back to their seats. After the Countess took her seat, except for Countess Changlong, who was sitting on an equal footing with her, the rest of them stood up to greet her. We wish the Countess a happy birthday. Okay, this isn't the first time we meet, just take a seat, there's no need to be so polite. Mrs. Ning waved her hand, and everyone sat down. Next up is the gift presenting session. The gifts prepared by each family will be taken out in order and read to Mrs. Bo according to their order. This is also a session of invisible comparison. First, the officials' wives presented their gifts one by one. They were all some grand jade ornaments, such as jade ruby, coral, and the like. When it comes to the merchants' families, they become adorned with jewels and precious stones, including glass, agate, and oriental pearls. However, Mrs. Ning just nodded slightly when she saw it, and there was no joy on her face. Madame Xie gave her a pair of jade pillows, but that didn't even make Mrs. Bo smile. When it was Suwon's turn, everyone worked together to lift up the largest object of the day, which was covered with a red cloth and looked very mysterious. Just this style made everyone present curious about what it was. The butler took the list and read, Miss Su Lu of Yuan Hall presented a gift, a yellow rosewood four-season screen. As he finished speaking, the red cloth was unveiled, and according to the rules, Suwon had to stand out and let Lady Bo see her. The 4 words, Wangwali wood, are enough to make people speechless. After all, wood like Wangwali wood is more valuable than sandalwood. Phoebe Nanmu is the best, but only members of the royal family can use it. If ordinary people use it, it is illegal and violates the royal dignity. Therefore, the best wood available to the nobles is Wangwali wood, followed by sandalwood, and only the more precious red sandalwood can be on par with Wangwali wood. Ningbo's mansion was once prosperous, so there was no shortage of sandalwood ornaments and furniture in the mansion. However, as for Wangwali wood, only the old lady had a bronze mirror made of Wangwali wood, and even that small item cost over 1,000 taels. This screen uses so much Wangwali wood, so it must be worth several thousand taels, right? This screen also attracted the attention of the 2 countesses. Lady Ning was the protagonist today, and she wanted to take a closer look, but she couldn't lose her dignity or she would appear stingy. But Mrs. Zhou was different. She came to join in the fun today, so she winked at her daughter-in-law. Her daughter-in-law was so smart that she immediately understood what her mother-in-law meant. This yellow rosewood is rare to see. I'd like to take a closer look. Madam Ning, do you mind if I come closer to admire it? Mrs. Ningbo smiled and gestured to her to come in. Young madam, please feel free to do as you please. The young master of Zhou's mansion stood up and walked to the screen, looking at it carefully. Others only dared to watch from a distance and did not dare to get closer. Oh, I have discovered something amazing. The embroidery on it is a rare double-sided embroidery. Miss Su Lu of Yuan Hall is really good at it. Everyone was shocked again when they heard this. One of the ladies who ran an embroidery shop stood up and said, My family runs an embroidery workshop. Let me see if it is really double-sided embroidery. Suwon had been standing there for a long time, turning around the screen, and no one paid any attention to her. She suddenly felt that she should not have looked for Jiang Yu. She was too high-profile and too much of a star. After all, her blood coral overshadowed Madame Zhou Bo's, and it was obvious that Madame Zhou Bo was displeased. The embroidery workshop went up to take a look and found that it was indeed double-sided embroidery, and the embroiderer's craftsmanship was at the master level. It is indeed double-sided embroidery. Anyone who knows embroidery knows that this is the most difficult to embroider because it requires the same pattern on the front and back. It takes the most effort and is the most difficult to learn. Miss Su Lu, you are really generous. Does Miss Su Lu's family really only make goat milk soap? The lady from the embroidery workshop raised doubts. Yuan Tang's reputation had just started to rise, and it didn't even have a physical store. Yet it was selling a double-sided Wangwali wood screen. Wasn't that too high-profile? Su Wan was still relatively calm. She was being questioned for being too outstanding at this grand event, and she was thinking about how to turn the situation around. Indeed, my family is not well off, and I just arrived in Xiangzhou to do business. This rosewood four-season screen was also given to my family by a good friend. To be honest, ladies, this is my first time participating in such an occasion, and I am afraid of losing my dignity and etiquette. However, I am short-sighted and do not know much about business. I just want to avoid losing my dignity and making a fool of myself since it is my first visit. I only know that this is made of rosewood, and I don't know that the embroidery on it is double-sided. But thank you for your reminder, madam. It has broadened my horizons again. Su Wan's words were very sophisticated. She said that she didn't know it was double-sided embroidery. On the one hand, she lowered herself, and on the other hand, she elevated others. She meant to say that she didn't try to steal the limelight on purpose. She had little experience, so she didn't know. Ignorance is not a crime, and Madame Zhou Bo should not bother with her. She only looks that old, and if she bothers too much, it would make her look unworthy. This statement is watertight. There is another advantage to Su Wan saying this. With such a large amount of money, people will question her identity and think that she is not just an unknown small vendor. They will think that she has a hidden identity. An ordinary merchant family was wealthy. They would not give such an expensive gift to the Countess for a small birthday. She said it was a gift from a friend, which just shows that her friend is not an ordinary person. How could a friend give you a screen worth a fortune? What kind of background does that require? On the one hand, she cleared herself up, which showed that she was just an ordinary businessman, but it also revealed to these people that she knew powerful backers. If these people wanted to cause trouble for her, they would have to think about whether they could afford to offend her friend. Su Wan suddenly became the most mysterious person in the hall. Everyone was curious about who her friend was and why she was so generous. Careful people can also find that the hairpin on her head is made of purple jade, and the mutton-fat jade bracelet on her hand is of absolutely crystal-clear quality, without a trace of impurities. She seems very low-key, but in fact, her extraordinary worth is revealed everywhere, which makes it even more mysterious. This is also Su Wan's little trick. In this world of fame and fortune, people like to judge people by their appearance. She is a new member, young, with little experience and no family background, so she is most likely to be looked down upon or even ignored. She just didn't want to be ignored or looked down upon. She wanted everyone in Xiangzhou's circle to remember her and respect her. Her family might not be wealthy now, but it won't be long before she, Su Wan, will become a well-known wealthy businessman in Xiangzhou City. Entering the circle is equivalent to entering the upper class. When her jade face cream is launched on the market in the future, it will be their money that she will make. A bottle of jade face cream is worth 100 taels of silver. It was secretly rumored that the formula was developed by Master Sun Beidou, but she herself did not make any response. The main purpose was to create a marketing effect. Miss Su Lu, you are so thoughtful. Please take a seat. Mrs. Bo's face became even wider. It was obvious that Su Wan's screen was the best one of the day and her favorite. With such an expensive gift, shouldn't the lady owe her a favor? After Su Wan sat down, everyone drank tea and chatted in the hall. Su Wan found it quite interesting to hear some business families who had a grudge against each other being sarcastic. Madame Xie was also curious about what kind of friend Su Wan had who was so generous. Sixth Miss, is your friend also a businessman? He's too generous. She felt that given her relationship with Su Wan, it shouldn't be out of line to ask such a question. Moreover, after finding out the truth, I had a sense of propriety in my mind. I was afraid that it might be a person in officialdom whom I couldn't afford to offend. Just looking at the wives of the officials in Xiangzhou, they don't seem to be familiar with Su Wan, so it shouldn't be them. It can't be officials from other places. If he were a high-ranking official from other states, why would he come to Xiangzhou to do business? He is a wealthy businessman in Zhongzhou, and his family has some assets. Zhongzhou is the most prosperous prefecture, not much worse than Kyoto. It is said that Taizu almost chose Zhongzhou as the imperial capital. His business in Zhongzhou must be quite big, right? It's not surprising for Madame Xie to hear that it was from Zhongzhou. Any wealthy businessman in that place who is a little famous could be the richest man in Xiangzhou. Su Wan just smiled. Jiang Yu was quite rich. He was the heir of Fengyue Villa. The famous shipping waterway was the foundation of Fengyue Villa. As the overlord on the water, connecting the north and the south, what rare objects had he not seen? The two seemed to have nothing to do with each other, and no one would ever connect them together. There are many masters in Fengyue Villa, including a famous cold weapon expert. The weapons he forged are all high-value collectibles and are worth a fortune. Sun Beidou comes from Fengyue Villa. They are well-informed. The restaurant under their name is similar to Yueman Shilo, with branches in every state capital. Only insiders know about it because the names are all different. No matter big or small, nothing can be hidden from the eyes of Fengyue Villa. The reason why Jiang Yu was killed before was because he entered Qinghe alone with no one to protect him. The assassination was planned for a long time, and the mastermind behind it was a mortal enemy of Fengyue Villa who coveted the position of Jiang Yu's young master. He interfered in the matter so much that he deceived the spies in Xiangzhou and almost killed Jiang Yu. Controlling Fengyue Villa is equivalent to controlling the National Intelligence Network and the shipping routes built with gold. The shipping goes directly to the South China Sea, and all the rare treasures of the South China Sea are hidden in Fengyue Villa. The original novel introduces Jiang Yu's maternal grandfather, who is also the master of Fengyue Villa. His surname is also Jiang. Isn't that a coincidence? Jiang Yu's biological father's surname is also Jiang. Patriarch Jiang has an only daughter, who is Jiang Yu's mother. He also has an adopted son, whose surname seems to be Yu. After the first disciple Jiang Yunhe retired, Jiang Yu was still young, and the sect leader only had this adopted son available. He was considered to have great power in Fengyue Villa, and some departments were controlled by him. He was not convinced by Jiang Yu as the young master, and was ambitious. Over the years, he had done a lot of things both openly and secretly, wanting Jiang Yu to die. He finally got the chance and thought he had no worries, but Jiang Yu ended up going back alive and well. But on the surface, he appears to be a kind uncle, doing things flawlessly, and no one can find any evidence against him. Jiang Yu knew that he was the one behind this, but he had no evidence and could only confront him. It is hard to imagine that Jiang Yu had already encountered several assassination attempts of varying sizes before he even reached the age of 20. He had experienced so much that in the original novel, he was much more mature than his peers, and his methods were much more ruthless. Outside, he can only be seen as an unkind, gloomy, and indifferent person. Once he shows a little kindness, there will be many people who want to put him into an irretrievable situation. Not many people love him. Some people really love him, but some people use the banner of love for him and wish he would die. Grew up without a mother and was surrounded by intrigues and deceptions. He had no choice but to develop a heart of stone. In addition, his other identity is the eldest son of Duke Zhang's mansion and the legitimate son of Duke Jiang. In the eyes of Kyoto people, he was sent to Fengyue Villa to learn skills when he was young. He has a stepmother and stepbrothers and stepsisters at home. His stepmother and stepbrother had been jealous of his position as the crown prince for a long time, and they couldn't wait to get rid of him. After his death, the duke's mansion will only have that one illegitimate son, and the future title will fall into their hands. Perhaps only in front of Su Wan can he be himself quietly, laugh when he wants to laugh, and say whatever he wants to say. When Su Wan thought of this, she couldn't help but feel sorry for Jiang Yu, who had to live with a mask on for a long time. At this time, the Countess also asked everyone to move to the back garden to appreciate the flowers. Su Wan stood up and followed the other female relatives to the back garden of Earl Ning Yuan's mansion. The back garden of the Earl's mansion is particularly large. Compared with Su Wan's house, Suwon's hibiscus cottage is only 1/3 of its size. There is a large pond in the garden with a pavilion in the center. Talented scholars from Xiangzhou are writing poems in the pavilion. Suwon would not join in this kind of activity. She wanted to keep a low profile for now. After all, she had already stolen the limelight in the treasure presentation session just now. Madame Xia held her arm as they walked along, introducing all the men and women she saw to Suwon. When passing by the pavilion in the middle of the lake, Madame Xia stretched her neck and saw a group of scholars and writers competing in poetry in the pavilion. She pointed at a man in a moon-white brocade robe with his back to Suwon and said, "That one is the young master of the Earl's mansion. He will be 20 next year. Right now, the Earl's wife is secretly choosing a wife for him. In this year's provincial examination, my young master unfortunately failed, but his literary talent is still acceptable." Suwon frowned and thought, there is a contradiction between the unfortunate failure in the exam and the good literary talent. She didn't pay much attention to the young uncle, but the young uncle noticed her. When he turned around, he saw a particularly eye-catching woman on the shore. She happened to pass through the gap where the sun was shining, and the glaring sunlight made her subconsciously raise her hands to block it. Her skin is so white that it seems to be glowing. In short, it is very eye-catching. He also recognized that she was the girl who had appeared in his dreams since he had caught a glimpse of her that night in the moonlight West Tower. Last time, she didn't give him any chance to speak. This time, he definitely couldn't lose this opportunity. As Suwon was walking, someone shouted from behind, "Girl, please stay, girl." Everyone in the back garden had been attracted by the young master's actions, and all looked over here. Walking in front of Suwon, and a few girls were also lingering by the lake. They all looked at him, not knowing who the young master was calling. The young master is interested in a girl here, then that girl has a high chance of becoming his wife, and everyone hopes that this person is themselves. Some people even began to hurriedly fix their hair. Suwon also heard the voice and subconsciously looked back. As she turned around, she saw the young master walking up to her with a puzzled look on her face. "Girl, do you still remember me?" The young uncle smiled and looked at Suwon with anticipation. Suwon didn't have a deep impression of him. He looked a little familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had seen him, so she shook her head. Lady Xia, who was standing beside him, bowed to him. "Hello, young master." The young master's mind was all on Suwon, and he had no time to care about anything else. He waved his hand without even looking at Madame Xia, but just looked at Suwon with a perverted smile on his face. When Suwon saw Madame Xia bowing, she also politely bowed. "Young uncle." The young uncle quickly reached out to support her with both hands, but Suwon was quick and had already stood up, so his hands didn't touch her clothes. The young master took the initiative to talk to the strange girl who showed up for the first time today. Most of the female relatives present knew that she presented him with a double-sided embroidered screen made of rosewood, and it was now being passed on by word of mouth. Even the Earl's wife was attracted. She had already walked to the front. Seeing this, the Earl's daughter immediately lifted her skirt and moved to the side of the young Earl. "Brother, do you know Miss Sulu?" The Earl's daughter also had a deep impression of Suwon. She has now become engaged to the second son of the Earl of Chimelong, who is only 2 years older than Suwon.
Miss Sulu?
Young master didn't know who it was, so the Earl's daughter introduced him. "This is the hostess of Yuyan Hall, Miss Sulu. You praised the hair soap earlier for being very useful. That soap is from Yuyan Hall." It turned out that the begonia-scented hair soap that he had always liked was made by the girl in front of him. Of Yuyantang before, but its goat milk soap is very famous in Xiangzhou. "I accidentally stepped on Miss Su's foot in the moonlit West Tower and hurt her. I haven't been able to apologize to her properly yet. Now that I saw it happen today, I must apologize to her." After that, he made a standard bow. "Sixth Miss, I'm sorry." In fact, he had already apologized twice that night.
There was really no need to do that.
It was strange that the young master of the Earl's mansion apologized to a common woman. In an instant, Suwon became the focus of the whole audience again. "Young master, you are too kind." That night, the moon was full, and there were many people in the West Tower. "You were careless, and I wasn't hurt by being stepped on." You really don't need to feel so bad about it. Sixth miss, can you tell me your name? The young master didn't care about what she said at all. He just wanted to know her name. To answer your question, my name is Suwon. Suwon still felt a little uncomfortable. This young uncle is really weird. Which word?
Can you write it for me?
He stretched out his palm, meaning for her to write it on his palm. This is against the rules and would be too intimate. Suwon bowed to him and explained, Young master, it's the Wanan smile. The young master withdrew his hand awkwardly. What a nice name. I'll tell you my name, too.
My name is Ningji-qian.
Suwon also felt very embarrassed and didn't know what to say for a moment. At this time, Mrs. Ning spoke. Qianer, please don't be rude. Miss Sulu, the flowers over there are in full bloom. Why don't you go and enjoy them first? Suwon's current status was too low in the eyes of Mrs. Bo, and she was not worthy of her son. She saw through her son's little tricks and naturally did not allow them to continue to get along. Mother, I want to go with you to appreciate the flowers. Anyway, Ningji Qian just wanted to follow Suwon today, and the man did not hide his admiration for the girl at all. Nonsense. There are only women over there. It's against the rules for a man like you to sneak in. Okay, continue writing your poem. Mrs. Bo showed her displeasure and spoke harshly. Ningji Qian could see that his mother was unhappy, so he didn't insist and watched Suwon's back as she left. To be honest, such occasions were really boring, and she couldn't get a word in when the ladies were talking. I finally waited for the lunch break and was able to leave after eating. These noble families have many rules. There are many kinds of dishes at the banquet, but there is only a few kinds of meat, and the portions are pitifully small. She didn't enjoy the meal enough, so she wanted to go home and eat quickly. After the banquet, everyone left, including Suwon. The third brother was waiting at the door with his carriage. When he saw Suwon coming out, he walked up to her and asked with a smile, How is it? Is the Earl's mansion fun? Let's talk about it when we get back. Here, so if you have anything to say, go back and complain. She got on the carriage. Ning Jiqian chased out again. Miss Sulu, please stay. Suwon sighed helplessly. Why is he here again? She could clearly see that the Countess was unhappy with her, and she thought that she was worried about her son and looked at her as if she was a fox. She even said at the banquet that the future daughter-in-law of the Earl of Ningyuan must come from a scholarly family. She looked down on these businessmen in her words and deeds, yet she shamelessly accepted the gold, silver, and jewelry they gave her. She even regretted giving her such a nice screen. Although he complained in his heart, Suwon still turned around and greeted him with a smile. Young master, do you have anything else to do? He held a box in his hand and stuffed it directly into Suwon's hand. For you. Suwon didn't know what was inside, but she didn't dare to take it. Young master, I cannot accept anything without merit. I cannot take your things. Please take them back. However, the young master took a few steps back. Once something is given to you, it cannot be taken back. Whether you like it or not, I hope you like it. After saying this, he turned around and went back to the Earl's mansion, looking back every few steps. His action once again caused the ladies and daughters at the door of the Earl's mansion to point fingers at him. Those rich ladies received a lot of cold stares at her at the banquet. Has attracted so much hatred for no reason. Wanwan, are you very familiar with the young uncle? Su Chen asked. Not familiar with each other, just met once. Su Chen helped her get on the carriage and said with a smile, Our Wanwan has grown up. He knew how outstanding his sister was, so it was understandable that she had a few suitors. Even the young master of the Earl's mansion had to fall at her feet. Su Chen was very proud. Yang Qingqing sat in the carriage and could finally breathe a sigh of relief. All the nerves in her body relaxed. Just now in the Earl's mansion, she was afraid of saying something wrong. Wanwan, please don't take me to occasions like this in the future. I can't stand it. I don't feel comfortable at all. She was really scared. Also, the way those people looked at you was really rude. They thought we had some improper thoughts about the young master. In my opinion, Mr. Jiang is much better than him and looks much better than him. Yang Qingqing spoke more directly, but when she brought up Jiang Yu, Su Wan's ears turned red again. Cousin Qingqing, she didn't deny it, but said in a slightly coquettish tone, asking her to stop talking. She did not deny what Yang Qingqing said. Jiangyu was much better than him. Whether in terms of status, strength, or appearance, he was far better than the young master. Suwon would not think that she was not worthy of Jiangyu, or anything like that. Anyway, as her brothers became successful in the future, her status would also rise. Who knows who will look down on whom in the future? Hurry and take a look at what the young uncle gave you. Yang Qingqing became curious about what was in the box again. Suwon followed her wishes and opened the small box, which contained a pair of earrings with kingfisher feather craftsmanship. This jadeite inlay technique is also very precious because it is very complicated and only the hairpin ladies in the palace have such skills. These earrings are just average. Young master has really bad taste. Kingfisher feathers are mostly blue-green in color. Yang Qingqing doesn't know how precious it is. Moreover, kingfisher feathers are usually worn by truly noble people as a symbol of status. After all, he is an earl and a member of a noble family, and he has seen some good things. There was a note underneath the pair of kingfisher earrings. Suwon unfolded the note and saw that it was from the young uncle, inviting her to go boating on the lake 3 days later. Suwon frowned, thinking, could it be that this young master really likes her? She pretended not to have seen the note. Besides, he didn't invite her in front of everyone, so it wouldn't be a big deal if she didn't go. By then, the young master should be able to understand her attitude. The refusal is so obvious. It would be disgraceful for him to stick to her with his status. Home. Sue's mother and the others were still in the workshop. Only Jiangyu was lying on a recliner under the hibiscus tree in the backyard to take a nap. This guy is quite leisurely and lives a very comfortable life in the Su family. Hearing some noise, he recognized Suwon's footsteps and lazily opened his eyes to watch the 3 of them walking towards him step by step. The first thing Suwon did after sitting down was to pour a sip of tea, then grabbed the plates of exquisite snacks on the table that Jiangyu had asked the guards to buy, and started to eat. Why, you went to the Earl's mansion and came back. Didn't the Earl's mansion let you eat enough? Jiang Yuming knew that there is nothing delicious to eat in such occasions, and that women would not eat too much due to etiquette, but he was still teasing Suwon. Forget it, it's not as delicious as what I eat at home. Also, thank you for preparing that screen for me. It successfully made me the best focus today. Suwon stuffed pastries into his mouth as he spoke, and his unclear speech was quite amusing. Jiangyu poured her another cup of tea and handed it to her. Eat slowly. If you want something else, I'll ask someone to buy it for you. No need. It's already afternoon, and it will be time for dinner soon. I'll just eat it as a snack.
Suwon diffused.
Besides, it would be troublesome to ask someone to buy it now. Was almost going crazy shipping the couple, and was looking at the 2 people interacting with an Annie smile on her face. Jiangyu glanced at the box next to Suwon and took it over to take a look. When he opened the box, he saw a pair of kingfisher earrings inside. Others might not understand, but he must have. These kingfisher earrings were rarely found in ordinary merchants' homes, and even if they did, they would never be given as gifts. Su wanted to know the famous ladies in Xiangzhou, so where did she get those emerald earrings? He picked up the note inside and took a look at it, and the smile on his face immediately changed. His narrowed eyes made his jade-like smile look extremely creepy. Suwon snatched the box back and muttered, "Why don't you say hello when you re-looking at me? Do you know the son of Earl Ningyuan?" Why has he never heard anyone tell him when Suwon met the son of Earl Ningyuan? "I don't know him. We just met once. Do you still remember the man who accidentally stepped on me in the moonlit West Tower that night? He is the legitimate son of Earl Ningyuan. These jadeite earrings should be given to me by him as an apology. When did the son of Earl Ningyuan become so servile? How could such a small matter make him care about it for so long? He even gave you such expensive earrings and invited you to go boating?" Zhang Yu's hand holding the cup turned pale, and his suppressed impatient tone revealed his jealousy at the moment. He remembered that he was the legitimate son of Earl Ningyuan. "How would I know? I'm not familiar with him. Besides, I didn't agree to go boating with him. He didn't tell me in person, so I just pretended I didn't see it." Suwon knew that this guy was probably jealous because of his sarcastic tone, and thought that you should not be angry after I said this. Who knows, this jealous man is also the most capable of finding faults, so you mean if he invites you personally, you will go. After Jiangyu finished a cup of tea, the smile on his face faded. He put the empty cup on the table with a little force, making a clear sound to express his dissatisfaction. How could he be so picky? Su-won was not used to his temper. She had already made her position clear, so why was this guy still insisting on it? She stood up and looked down at him. Why are you so unreasonable? I've already said I won't accept the invitation. Even if he said so himself, I wouldn't go. I'm not familiar with him, and others would think I'm trying to climb the social ladder. Besides, if I want to climb the social ladder, I'll have to climb a higher branch. It was obviously Jiangyu who was jealous, but after a few words, the target of his anger became Su-won. It's just like real couples. When they quarrel, it's obviously the man who expresses dissatisfaction first, but in the end, it's the woman who gets angry. She turned around and was about to leave angrily, but Jiangyu stopped and quickly called her because his attention was completely attracted by her words that if she wanted to climb, she had to climb a higher branch. Su-won, hearing the voice, Su-won stopped and looked confident of victory. He thought to himself, you little jerk, let's see who is tougher. What else do you want to say? Su-won felt that he should come to apologize. You don't want to marry the current emperor, do you? After Jiangyu said this, Su-won's pupils dilated, and she looked at him in disbelief. Su-chin spat out a mouthful of tea and narrowly avoided choking to death. Jiangyu's words became more and more outrageous. Yang Qingqing also blinked, not understanding what this meant. For Jiangyu, Su-won didn't know his identity, and he didn't know any family more noble than the Ningyuan Earl's mansion. The two sons of the Changlong Earl's mansion were already married, and Su-won's personality should not be willing to be a concubine. Therefore, the most noble man in the world is none other than the current emperor. No matter how easygoing Su-won is at ordinary times, she is not easygoing at this moment. The current emperor is so old, his brain must have been eaten by dogs to actually say such things. Su-won stepped on his foot with a lot of effort, but Jiangyu didn't even frown, and still waited for her answer with an indignant look on his face. Su-won replied, "Get lost. There's no way we can have a good chat today." Returned to her room angrily. She thought about it carefully and realized that what she said at that time was actually a reference to Jiangyu, the High Branch. A third-class title in the Earl's mansion is nothing compared to the marquisate of his family. He is the prince of the Duke's mansion. Isn't he a higher-ranking official? However, his current identity has not been exposed. In his opinion, she doesn't know his identities, so he thinks so much. But Su-won was still very angry. What a straight man. Was so annoyed after hearing the words, "Get out," that he sat back under the tree with a gloomy face. Su-chin was there, with a gloating smile on his face, which made Jiangyu even more annoyed. He looked at Yang Qingqing and asked, "Why is she so angry?" Yang Qingqing lowered her head and tried to hold back her laughter. She said, "I'd be angry too. What you said is too outrageous." Wanwan was just making an analogy, but you're making a fuss about it. It's no wonder she got angry. Jiangyu calmed down and thought about it. It seemed so. He saw that the note said that he invited Miss Wanwan to go boating with him in 3 days to enjoy the lake view. Also, Miss Wanwan, was she also called Wanwan by him? He was blinded by jealousy for a moment. He was so smart and capable in daily life, and he could remain calm even when faced with a catastrophe. However, when it came to emotional matters, he lost all his intelligence. Now she's made me angry. To be honest, this is the first time I've seen her lose her temper in all the time I've known her. Now, what he should worry about is how to coax people. Just when he didn't know what reason to use to apologize, his guards came in. "Young master, there is a letter from Kyoto, addressed to the Su family." The letter came from Kyoto and was addressed to the Su family. Su-chun and Jiangyu's eyes lit up at the same time. I guess there is good news from Su-jing. As soon as the letter was delivered to Su-chun, he wanted to open it, but Jiangyu stopped him. "Wait, I'll go call Wanwan over to watch it together." Su-chun didn't know his little tricks yet, so he just went along with him. "Okay, go ahead." Before he could finish his words, he had already left. Jiangyu came and knocked on Su-won's door. Su-won was lying on the bed in silence. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She sat up with a start and couldn't help but complain. No, he's sick, right? What kind of brain circuit would think that she wants to marry His Majesty? Just as he was thinking about it, there was a knock on the door, and Jiangyu coughed twice outside. Inside, so he said, "Your elder brother has sent you a letter. Why don't you come out and read it?" Just as he finished speaking, the door opened, and Su-won emerged from inside, craning his neck to look around at him. "Where's the letter from my elder brother?" "It's at Su Chen's place. I asked you to go and see it together." Upon hearing this, Su-won walked around him and hurried into the yard. Jiangyu grabbed her arm and pulled her back. "Do what?" She crashed into his chest, and her body tensed up in an instant. Jiangyu asked her to stand facing him, held her shoulders with both hands, bent down slightly, and said to her sincerely, "Wanwan, look at me. I have something to say to you." Su-won raised her eyes to look at him. His handsome face was so outstanding that she could hardly bear to admire him from such a close distance. "Say whatever you want to say. I'm in a hurry to read my brother's letter." "I'm sorry. I just said something wrong. That's not what I meant because you said you wanted to climb higher, so I misunderstood. Can you please stop being angry with me? If you are really angry, just step on me a few more times to vent your anger. If that doesn't work, you have any requests, and I will agree to them as long as you ask for them." In fact, after his apology, Su-won's anger had already subsided by more than half. However, how could someone as proud and spoiled as her be coaxed so quickly? Su-won broke free from his hold on her and cleared her throat. Although she tried her best to suppress the corners of her mouth, she still couldn't help smiling. "Let's talk about it later." Proudly, he turned around and walked away. She personally opened the letter from her eldest brother, and it was indeed good news. Her eldest brother had successfully passed the imperial examination, and he was at the top of the list. That is the first place, called Huiyuan. Now, all we have to do is wait for the palace examination, and the emperor has ordered that this year's palace examination be held 1 month in advance, which means that the final result of this year's imperial examination will be known by the end of July. The eldest brother also said that Kyoto is a place of learning. He has met the Grand Secretary of the current cabinet and even received praise from him. Upon hearing the news, the entire Su family was so happy that they almost set off firecrackers to celebrate. "After my eldest brother passes the palace examination and returns home in glory, he will carry the plaque of success bestowed by the emperor, ride a tall horse, wear a red official uniform, and enter Xiangzhou City with a big red flower on his chest. Then the whole Xiangzhou will know about it, and that will be the time when their Su family will be proud." The eldest brother has taken the test. This is undoubtedly great news for the Su family. In the entire Jin state, he stood out among so many students and even won the first place. No wonder he was highly regarded by the Grand Secretary of the cabinet. When Su's mother came back from the workshop and heard the good news about her eldest son, she was so happy that she almost fainted. She was crying and laughing at the same time. After she came to her senses, she ran to the small room where the jade statue of Guanyin was enshrined, and kowtowed and burned incense. After Su Jing went to Kyoto, this jade Guanyin statue was given by Jiangyu. Su's mother worshipped it almost every day, hoping that the jade Guanyin statue could bless her son to have a safe and smooth life in Kyoto and pass the imperial examination. Now, they have finally got what they wanted. They got the first place in the provincial examination, so getting into the top 10 in the palace examination will not be a problem. In the future, their Su family will have a jinshi. Moreover, Su Jing is only 21 years old this year, young and promising. Su Chen was asked to call Su Yun back, and the family prepared a sumptuous meal at home to celebrate Su Jing's success in the imperial examination. Su Yi wrote a reply letter, in which he wrote down everything his family had said to him. Su Wen also took out 200 taels of silver notes and stuffed them in. His elder brother had been gone for so long, and he probably had spent most of the silver, so he had to send him some money. However, since there were silver notes inside, He couldn't just use an ordinary messenger, so Jiangyu asked his men to send it to Kyoto as quickly as possible. Kyoto, Farong House. Imperial examination came out. Su Jing received more posts. Prominent families in Kyoto found out where he lived and sent invitations to him, inviting him to drink, appreciate flowers, and drink tea. They almost broke down his door. Most of these people want to catch the son-in-law of the new #1 scholar. This person is very likely to become the new #1 scholar. Who doesn't want the #1 scholar to be their son-in-law? There are also some who truly appreciate his talent. A small number of them are forming cliques and factions. These people serve their own masters in the court and want to recruit people to their own camp. Looking through these visiting cards, the old servant in Jiangyu's courtyard selected a few for him. He said that these families were all worth making friends with and were rare clean officials in the court. He had already met the Grand Secretary of the Cabinet, and Jiangyu had specifically instructed him to keep a close eye on him and not accidentally get on a boat he shouldn't be on. After all, my brother is not familiar with the court. He didn't know whether those officials were good or bad, or what their personalities were. When he first enters the court in the future, it would be better for him to deal more with the clean officials. However, there are a few people who claim to be the clean officials but are not good people in secret. They are corrupt and do not hesitate to embezzle money. Jiangyu was not in the court. He had investigated the intricate relationships in the court clearly. Fenglai Villa has such a large intelligence network, so it would be easy to get hold of something they could hold against them. Some people who are not vigilant enough have been caught by others without knowing it. There are also some who are very cautious, and it is difficult to find any handle on them, but he is also very clear about what they do behind the scenes. There are only a few things that can cause you to lose your official position: forming a clique for personal gain, corruption and bribery, and using other people's names to do business for profit. There is a saying in the court that those who receive salaries should not compete with the people for jobs, and officials are not allowed to do business. However, those high-ranking officials have such large families to support, and their wives are all so decent. Do you think that their salaries are enough for them? Who doesn't have any property secretly? Shops, fields, everything. They do not use their own names, but the names of their family branches, and the actual beneficiaries are themselves. However, it was not particularly excessive, and His Majesty just turned a blind eye. There is no one available in the court, but some have a solid foundation, and a single move could affect the entire body, so they cannot be easily moved. There are also those whose ancestors made great contributions, and if they take advantage of others' misfortunes, they will be criticized by the people. Officials, immediate family members are not allowed to engage in business, which means that the eldest brother's future descendants, children, and spouse are not allowed to engage in business. However, it would inevitably be a hidden danger for her and her fourth brother to do business in the future. As her eldest brother's position gets higher and higher, there would be more jealous people who would definitely use this matter to talk about it. In the original novel, the fourth brother's restaurant made so much profit that it had become something that people were jealous of. Some officials who were hostile to the eldest brother took advantage of the situation and wanted to bring down the #1 restaurant in the world. A family that has high-ranking officials, military generals, great scholars, and miracle doctors is already very prominent. If they also do well in business and make a lot of money, the Su family will become an iron bucket that no one can shake. Taking any one of them out would be enough to shock the world. Those people took advantage of the situation and demanded an order to close down the restaurant in order to prevent the Su family from becoming too ambitious. Later, Su Yun took the initiative to propose that 50% of the annual profits from all the restaurants he opened should be handed over to the national treasury as a sign of loyalty. Only then did he receive the reward of being the best restaurant in the world personally bestowed by the emperor. But despite this, those people were still not satisfied and continued to refuse to give in. So, Suwon is reluctant to sell the recipe of goat milk soap. Why is it said that it can save lives? It will be a trump card in the future. At least it can ensure the safety and prosperity of this generation of the Su family. Therefore, Suwon now has a new idea. That is, Yuyen cream should be sold independently. No one knows who is the boss behind Yuyen cream, and Yuyen Tang will only do the business of goat milk soap in the future. As for the jade face cream, She changed its name and opened a separate shop to sell it together with lip balm and other skincare products. What's more, she wanted to keep it very secret so that people would have no idea that the Jade face cream was also her business. This should not be confused with goat milk soap. This is the real code to wealth. Now, we just have to wait for the palace examination to be held in early June. We will know the final result of the examination in early July. We are waiting for even better news from my eldest brother. Suwon took out the recipe of the Jade face cream and looked at it. She was now going to set up a shop and start developing the Jade face cream. Jade face cream requires dozens of medicinal herbs and pearl powder. This medicinal herb is easy to find, but nucleusless pearls are not easy to find. After all, I have never heard of cultured pearls in Xiangzhou. Moreover, this pearl powder must be made with seedless pearls. We do not pursue the quality of the pearls. It does not matter if they are crooked or cracked as long as they can be ground into powder. Suwon knew that Jiangyu would definitely have a way. With the shipping routes of their Fengyue villa, they had seen all kinds of new things. They have their own sea pearl breeding base in the South China Sea, and every year they receive a large number of colorful pearls and rare oriental pearls. That guy made me really angry a few days ago. If I ask him about it, he should have no reason to refuse. Jiangyu had been waiting for a long time. He had also read the recipe of the Jade face cream. There was an ingredient in it called pearl powder, which was the hardest to find. He knew that Suwon would come to find him. Sure enough, she came. Suwon ignored him for several days, and every time he saw him, he didn't give him a chance to speak, which made him distressed. Although the two have not confirmed their relationship, he knows that Suwon cannot have no feelings for him at all. Jiangyu has nothing to do. He likes to sit under the hibiscus tree, drink tea, and feed the fishes. You can always find him there. The Su family is in the goat milk soap workshop during the day and only comes back in the evening. Last month, the net profit of goat milk soap reached more than 3,500 taels. This month, the demand in Xiangzhou as a whole has doubled, and it is estimated that the net profit this month will have to double on this basis. Goat milk soap would sell so well. He has already sent several thousand bars of soap to Madame Xie this month. In other counties, the demand has reached thousands of bars of soap a month. Because of this, Suwon already had tens of thousands of taels of silver in her hands, so she thought about opening a Jade face cream shop. At that time, I will also visit Yuyan Tang's shop. She had already thought of a name, which was Bingjitang, and the Yuyan cream was renamed Bingjiyuga Nourishing Facial Cream. When Suwon arrived, two secret guards were reporting something to Jiangyu. Suwon waited there for a while and only walked forward after they finished speaking. The two secret guards greeted her respectfully. 6th Mississippi, Suwon nodded politely and smiled back, which counted as a greeting. She sat down opposite Jiangyu and saw him laughing, but she didn't understand what was so funny about him. Is it funny? Jiangyu raised his eyebrows, and his smile became more charming. Let me guess, why did you come to see me? Guess, Suwon didn't believe it. Could he be the worm in his stomach? Jiangyu lay back lazily, with one hand resting on the back of the chair, looking very ruffian. You want to ask about Pearl? Suwon was drinking tea, not believing that he could guess it, but unexpectedly, he was slapped in the face. How do you know? Because I am the worm in your stomach. Puff. This time he really couldn't hold back his laughter. Suwon seemed to have been tickled and couldn't stop laughing. Jiangyu just looked at her and smiled, then handed her a handkerchief to wipe her mouth. Suwon took the handkerchief and couldn't help but joked. It shouldn't be the one that polished my shoes, right? This time it was Jiangyu's turn to laugh, and his voice was as refreshing as the clear mountain spring.
No.
He is not so poor. Suwon wiped his mouth and told him about his plan. I plan to open a shop to sell Jade face cream, but I can't sell it together with goat milk soap. I want to start a hidden business where no one knows I'm the boss behind the scenes. The Jade face cream requires a lot of pearl powder. I know you have a way to find a big pearl farmer for me. I want the kind without seeds, which are not valuable. It doesn't matter if they are crooked or cracked. As for the price, we can negotiate. From these few short sentences, Jiangyu could get a general idea. As smart as he is, he naturally understands why Suwon planned this. This idea only after receiving the letter from Kyoto. She was worried that her future business would have an impact on Su Jing, so she wanted to start a hidden industry and become the boss behind the scenes. If the goat milk soap business fails in the future, she still has the hidden money-making tool of the jade face cream and will not starve to death. She is really a little girl who knows how to think ahead. Otherwise, why would he be attracted to Su Wan? Because she can consider issues that ordinary people cannot consider. She had never been under the emperor's rule, but she knew how to prepare for a rainy day, and that was her outstanding quality. I have a pearl farm in the South China Sea. If you need it, I can provide it to you for free. Every day, many pearls that do not meet the requirements are thrown away. It is a waste. It just so happens that you need it, so it can be regarded as making the best use of it. No, I can't take it for free. You can name a price that's within my budget. Your pearl farm must have a lot of workers. Even if they are waste pearls, they have to be carefully screened, which is labor-intensive. I can't take them for free. If Su Wan didn't give her money, she would feel burdened. Besides, since it was a waste pearl and worthless, he couldn't ask for an exorbitant price. Didn't you say before that you would give me 10% of the interest? Now you don't mean it? If that's the case, I'm also the owner of the shop. Isn't it my duty to contribute something to my shop? He knew that she wouldn't want it for free, so he brought this up. Su Wan was not joking when she said that last time. She really intended to give him 10% of the profit. Now that he had brought up the matter, there was no way she would deny it. Of course it counts. I can't take back my words once they've been spoken. That's it. Why don't you give me another 10% of the profit? I'll give you a few more people to help you run the shop. I have a female shopkeeper who is good at business and is absolutely trustworthy. As long as you give her a sincere monthly salary, she will help you run the shop. You don't need to worry about anything from the workshop to the shop. You just need to collect the money in the back and be a hands-off shopkeeper, and then concentrate on managing your goat milk soap business. Jiang Yu is a good person to the end, and he will do his best to help others. The little girl wants to be the boss behind the scenes, so the person she chooses must be trustworthy. How much effort and money will it take to screen through so many levels? I guess she must be worried about where to find someone trustworthy to take care of it. Now that he has extended an olive branch and is lending her a helping hand, it is not for nothing, as he has asked for an extra 10% of the profits. Jiang Yu's olive branch immediately touched Su Wan's heart. If it's his person, then there will definitely be no problem, and he can be trusted completely. Moreover, Jiang Yu does not keep idle people under his command. His people must have outstanding qualities, which is why he takes a fancy to them and recruits them under his command. If you add another layer of profit to it, it's really nothing. The temptation is huge. No problem, I'll give you another 20%. Su Wan said very generously that if you are using other people's resources and manpower for free, you have to show some sincerity and you can't take advantage of him. Jiang Yu laughed again. The little girl was really generous this time. She was willing to give him 30% of the profits. Not bad. Of course he was happy to do so. He wouldn't spend the money anyway, and would return it to her sooner or later. Deal, Boss Su. Jiang Yu raised his teacup to clink glasses with her. Su Wan also smiled knowingly. It's a pleasure to work with you, Boss Jiang. As soon as the glasses clinked, the two reached a cooperative relationship and went from friends to partners in one fell swoop. From now on, Bingjiugu Beauty Cream will only do business with rich people, and one bottle will be sold for 100 taels. Bingjitang will also make some other civilian skincare products so that ordinary people can also afford them. You can rest assured that the people Jiang Yu chooses are all talented people. She, Su Wan, only needs to use 30% of the profits, and then she can sit back and reap the benefits, becoming the mysterious boss behind the scenes and counting money until her hands are tired. Why not? She never thought that Jiang Yu planned this for her, and it was not for her money at all. But he knew that this girl never liked to ask for other people's things for free, so she changed to this method. A certain little girl was still feeling smug about having gotten a great deal, and she couldn't suppress the smile on her lips. In the past, she was still unsure, but now that they have become partners, she can be said to have boarded Jiang Yu's boat and become a team. She, Su Wan, has her own backer now. Who would dare to attack her in the future? While giggling, she inadvertently glanced at the few koi fish she had specially selected in the pond. Since Jiangyu came, they have become plumper and rounder, which is inseparable from the careful feeding of young Master Jiang every day. The next day, Suwon went to the pawn shop to check out the shops. She looked at the Yuantang shop, while the Bingjitang shop would wait for Jiangyu's people to arrive. His people would take care of it, and then the deed would be delivered to her. After all, the pawn shop was run by the imperial court. If she showed up and had any involvement with it, it would be easy to find out that she was related to it, and it would not be mysterious at all. She didn't even plan to tell the Su family about this Bingji Hall. The main focus was on keeping it a secret. A soap shop doesn't need to be too big. What matters is the location. The shop that Suwon chose was right across from Madame Xie's Rouge shop, on the most prosperous street. A total of 500 taels of silver were spent to buy the shop. It is not very big, only about 100 square meters. There are 2 dark rooms in the back, which can be used to entertain guests or for rest, occupying about 40 square meters. The remaining 60 square meters is the front hall. It needs to be renovated to make it more elegant and high-end, especially the signboard of Yuan Hall, which must be beautiful. Madame Xie had never expected that Suwon would open his own shop so soon. She had also earned several hundred taels of silver by following Suwon, and Suwon had also given her many gifts, and the friendship between the two was thus established. Let's get the shop in Xiangzhou ready first. As for those county towns, we'll use the agency method for the time being. Later, this matter will be handed over to her uncle, who will choose the shop to open, so she won't have to make the trip in person. Yuantang store in Xiangzhou, Su Wan will let Yang Qingqing learn to be the female shopkeeper. From then on, she had to learn how to sell goods, restock, promote sales, and do accounting all by herself. Suwon is responsible for checking the accounts, as long as there is no problem with the accounts. Because the business was good, and the demand for goat milk soap was growing, Suwon gave his uncle 20 taels of silver per month, and his aunt and Yang Qingqing 10 taels of silver per month. After Yang Qingqing became the shopkeeper, she was paid 30 taels of silver per month. From the renovation to the opening. During this time, Madame Xie took the initiative to tell customers who came to buy soap that if they wanted to buy soap in the future, they could go to the newly opened Yuantang across the street. There would be an event in the first 3 days of the opening, and when they entered the store, they would receive a white goat milk soap for free, and when they bought a hair soap, they would receive a dyed goat milk soap as well. There were many benefits. Jiangyu arrived in Xiangzhou half a month later. He took Suwon to Yuanman West Tower to meet them. The two of them were in the Tianziho private room, and more than a dozen women stood respectfully in front of Suwon. The leader was a woman in her 20s, and she was accompanied by 12 young women aged 16 or 17. Her name is Qionyang. She will be the shopkeeper of Bingjitang in the future. The people she brings with her are all trustworthy. Before this, Qionyang had been working under me as the shopkeeper. No matter how cleverly the account books are modified, as long as she looks at them, she can tell where the problems are. The people she brings with her are all her apprentices, and they are good at identifying various medicinal materials. There will be no problems letting them work in the workshop and make the jade face cream. In addition, they are also proficient in the methods and formulas of various rouges. They came here with sincerity this time. Suwon looked at the beautiful woman in front of him named Xionyang. She had fiery red lips, smiling lips, phoenix eyes, and her every frown and smile was full of charm. She brought with her also exuded a heroic aura that could not be ignored. They were all about 165 meters tall, and none of them was ugly. Boss, to show my sincerity, Qionyang has brought a few prescriptions with her this time. Please take a look. Qionyang handed a wooden box to Suwon. After Suwon opened it, he found 3 recipes inside. The first one is the recipe for hand cream, the second one is the recipe for an affordable facial cream that is popular on the market, and the third one is the recipe for making loazadai. After reading it, Suwon was very surprised. They were all wealth codes for making money. The ice skin and jade bone cream, plus these recipes and several ancient beauty recipes she has, will give her a lot more things to sell once Bingjitang opens in the future. What's more, she also plans to sell lip balm and other things. Are these all for me? Suwon looked at Jiangyu and asked. It's for Bingjitang. I'm also the owner of Bingjatang, so naturally, I want Bingjatang to make more profit, so I can earn more. Jiangyu played with his new jade ring and replied while leaning lazily on the chaise longue. Besides, these are what they already know. Since they are here to work for you, they should be unreserved. However, they are so sincere, so you can't give them less money. They are very expensive. After Jiangyu said this, Qiu Nyang laughed. She had been looking at her new boss. I have heard for a long time that the young master has fallen in love and has a girl he likes. When I saw her today, I found that this sixth girl is very beautiful and extraordinary. Before coming, she had already learned that the goat milk soap created by the sixth girl was very popular in Xiangzhou. She used it once last night, and it was indeed a good thing. It can be seen that these 6 girls are very special to the young master. Otherwise, how could he do a business that was losing money? He even specially transferred her to Xiangzhou to help the 6th girl, but in the end, he only wanted 30% of the profit. You can ask for as much monthly silver as you want. As long as you work hard for me and manage Bingjatang well, it will be worth it no matter how much monthly silver I give you. They came with sincerity, so Su-won also had to show sincerity. Boss, I used to work under the young master and my monthly salary was 200 taels of silver, and these sisters I brought with me used to get 30 taels of silver per month, so we'll just follow the original specifications. In the future, all the beauty creams in Bingjatang will be made by us, and we will never outsource them to others. Boss, you can rest assured. From purchasing raw materials to making, to packaging and selling, you don't need to bother. Qionyang will take care of everything. You just need to look at the results. Even if you want to open a branch in the future, you don't need to worry about it. As long as you have this idea, Qionyang will arrange everything and you'll be satisfied. Jiang Yu dared to give her this amount of monthly salary, which showed that Qionyang did have her own strengths, and when it came to settling accounts in front of her, she was nothing compared to him. If you calculate carefully, this means that Su-won has to pay them a monthly salary of 560 taels of silver. Whether it is worth it is up to her to decide. I can only say that it is acceptable. After all, they are people brought by Jiang Yu. Anyway, there will only be benefits and no harm. If she were to train such a team by herself, how many years would it take, and how much effort would it take? Not to mention, nucleusless pearls are hard to find, and there are only 2 such companies in the entire Dajin Kingdom. One is Jiang Yu's Sea Pearl Farm in the South China Sea. The pearls produced there are often presented to the imperial city as tribute, and many wealthy people buy them at high prices to use as gifts. There is another one, which is in Jiangnan. The pearls produced there are all freshwater pearls, and their utilization value is far less than that of sea pearls. Sea pearls, you can tell how precious they are just by listening to them. Those clams are fished up from the depths of the sea. How many batches of clams are needed to cultivate a perfect pearl? Freshwater pearls are different. Although they are also precious, the largest ones are not that big. In short, they are not as precious as those in seawater. In the future, before Bingjatang opens, these 2 pieces of news can be released. One is that the recipe of Bingji Yugu paste comes from the genius Dr. Sun Beidou, and the second is that one of the ingredients is pearl powder ground from precious South China Sea pearls. At that time, pearl powder facial mask was already popular, but it was too luxurious and ordinary people could not afford it. They also didn't know that those ugly things could be made into pearl powder. This greatly increased the value of the ice skin and jade bone cream, and no one could question her selling it for 100 taels. Another thing is that Jiang Yu is an acquaintance, but she is not familiar with Jiangnan. If she goes to Jiangnan to negotiate in person, it will waste her time and energy. Freshwater pearls are not as rare as sea pearls. After she goes there, she will also have to negotiate the price and find the right person. It will cost a lot of money to transport the pearls back and forth in the long run, and the person she finds may not be reliable. Unlike Jiang Yu, who can get a permanent solution by paying an extra 20% of the profits and also get a strong marketing and production team. By tying ourselves to Jiang Yu's boat, we will have a backer and the ice skin and jade bone hull will be as solid as a rock in the future. Could get 30% profit in exchange for a lifetime of wealth and splendor. Would you be tempted? A box of ice skin and jade bone beauty cream sells for 100 taels. After deducting the raw materials, she can still make 60 taels, which is a huge profit. If you want to make a living in this world, you have to be cunning when necessary because there is no business without cunning. Moreover, she could completely trust Jiangyu's character. Even when doing business in modern times, when you choose a partner, you must make multiple comparisons and choose the one that is more beneficial to you. If this party happens to be your good friend, then there is nothing else to say. Just sign the contract. All in all, even if the Nanhai Pearl Farm did not belong to Jiangyu, she would still choose Nanhai. Since you have to make the trip anyway, why not choose a better one? Besides, it's not like she didn't spend any money. She paid an extra 20% interest to get the solution once and for all.
It's a deal.
Let's sign a document. I'll just sign it and seal it. To guarantee you that I won't default on my debts in the future, I'll send the document to the government to have it stamped. From now on, you'll be mine. We'll rise and fall together. Su-won thought about it for about 5 minutes, and for a better future, she signed the contract for this group of employees. Cheon-young smiled and nodded, and brought a group of sisters to greet Su-won. Come on, sisters, let's pay our respects to our boss. Including Cheon-young, there were 13 people in total, and they all saluted Su-won. To be honest, Su-won really enjoyed the feeling at this moment. In this wave of time travel, she finally turned from a singing serf into a big boss. We are willing to sacrifice our lives for our boss and go through fire and water, without hesitation.
No need to be polite.
I won't go through fire and water for you. As long as we stick together through thick and thin, that's enough. I'm a very easygoing person, and I won't exploit you. Cheon-young needs to write 13 copies of the document, 2 copies in total, which makes a total of 26 copies, and it will take some time. The 12 girls have already gone out to wait. It is said that Cheon-young has found a temporary residence in Xiangzhou City. Now, Cheon-young is the only one in the private room writing a document. At the tea table, not knowing what he was thinking, Jiangyu was still lazily leaning on the chaise longue. Shopkeeper Luo brought in lunch and filled the table. Young master, Miss Su, it's lunchtime. Please have your meal. Thank you very much, Manager Luo. You have worked hard. Su-won thanked him politely. It's not hard, it's not hard. It's all my duty. Please enjoy your meal. Shopkeeper Luo seemed rather reserved in front of Jiangyu. Jiangyu got up from the chaise longue and sat next to Su-won. Su-won called Cheon-young to come and eat together. Cheon-young, let's eat something first. Cheon-young did not hesitate. She put down her pen, walked over, and sat down opposite the two of them. She is also Jiangyu's subordinate. She is more calm. It just so happens that we can take advantage of the meal to discuss our next plans in detail. Cheon-young needed 5,000 taels of silver in funding to find a store, a workshop, decorate the store, order raw materials, and obtain a small container for the ice skin and jade bone cream, which had to be custom-made from porcelain. The nucleusless pearls have been shipped from the South China Sea. It will take about a month to arrive. After all, the South China Sea is far away. Su-won has already prepared the banknotes, and Jiangyu only needs to provide people and pearls that do not meet the standards. A 30% profit is a considerable profit once the business is established. 5,000 taels of silver notes was exactly the amount she had prepared. Cheon-young said that everything was ready and it would only take 2 months to officially open the new store, which was considered fast. From now on, all matters will be discussed at Yumanqilu. If Cheon-young wants to find her, someone will come to inform Su-won personally. After the meal, Cheon-young completed all the documents, and then Su-won signed and sealed them all, and later sent them to the government for stamping. This doesn't matter. The government needs so many seals every day that they may not remember hers. It's mainly to give them a guarantee. 5,000 taels of silver were packed in a small box and handed over to Cheon-young. Next, she would go to visit shops and workshops and would definitely visit the workshops to directly purchase raw materials and start stocking up. The shop started to be renovated at the same time, so Su-won could focus on her Yuantang affairs. In the Su family is not busy. Su-yun is busy learning how to cook, while Su-yi is busy setting up the stall. He planned to save some money and rent a small shop to paint some paintings and sell them. He also usually took on portrait business in the shop. Su-chin helps out in the goat milk soap workshop every day, running around and acting as a qualified and perfect tool man. Only Jiangyu was leisurely and happy every day. He moved many famous flowers and plants to Su-won's backyard. Every morning, he would practice sword and tend to the flowers and plants. After breakfast, he would wait for his subordinates to come down and report on the matters to be resolved that day. I drink tea in the afternoon. When I'm bored, I go to the workshop to chat with Su-won or go to see Su-yi's portrait. The days passed by uneventfully, and soon, Yuyan Hall was decorated and ready to open. Su-won filled the counter with various kinds of goat milk soaps for the customers to choose from. He went to a dental shop and bought 2 people, a man and a maid, and then arranged for them to work in the store. The men are responsible for guarding the door to prevent people from running away without paying, while the maids are responsible for guiding customers to consume in the store, introducing products, and taking customers to the front desk to check out. Su-won would take Yang Qingqing to the counter and teach her how to do the math and keep account books. The auspicious day for the opening was chosen as the first day of July, which also happened to be the day when the results of the palace examination were announced. Left before the opening, and everything is ready. Madame Xia's soap has been out of stock for several days, and the suspense has built up. Many old customers of the goat milk soap are waiting for Yuyan Hall to open. That day, Su-won took some time out to visit Su-yi, wanting to see how his portrait was going. Hot day, Su-yi sat in the tea shed. The sunlight shone on the sunshade, making it even more stuffy inside. It is also for this reason that Su-yi has very few customers, only a few. There was an iced milk tea shop on the street, and Su-won bought a few bowls for his 5th brother. Su-yi had just finished painting a picture for a customer and collected 50 coins from him. Su-won sat down beside him and fanned him with a round fan. Seeing that it was his sister, he smiled warmly. "Hey, my family is very busy. How come you have time to come and see me today?" Recently, Su-won has been very busy. He is to run the workshop and take care of the decoration of Yuyan Hall. He can rarely be seen except at night. "I'm not busy today, so I came to see 5th brother. How's business going lately?" As you can see, because of the hot and humid weather, there are very few people coming to have their portraits painted. Maybe things will get better after autumn.
Su-yi replied.
Su-won handed him a cup of iced tea. Su-yi drank it in one gulp and continued to paint a portrait of the next customer. For the past 2 months, Su-yi has been holding a paintbrush every day, and calluses have formed on his fingers. However, when he paints, his hand speed becomes faster and faster, and the lines become smoother and smoother. After all, practice makes perfect. Is it delicious, Brother Wu? It tastes good. My Wan is still considerate, but it's too hot here. Don't get a heat stroke. Go back quickly. I want to rent a small shop in a few days. You can go with me to have a look. You often go to the dental clinic, so you know it better than me. After 2 months, Su-yi has saved nearly 200 taels of silver. When the time comes, he can rent a small shop and no longer have to endure the heat under this tea stall. He has become famous in several streets near Shenzhou. If it weren't for the hot weather, there would be more and more people coming to paint his portrait. Su-yi was also afraid that the novelty would wear off, and fewer people would come to him. He was a worldly man who painted portraits for 2 reasons. Firstly, to make money, and secondly, to train himself. Okay, then when it's hottest in the afternoon, remember to go back and rest. Don't get yourself a heat stroke. There are 2 cups of milk tea. Remember to drink them when you're thirsty. Seeing that he was busy, Su-won didn't stay long. She returned home. She unexpectedly found that there were guests at home. As soon as she arrived home, a carriage stopped at her door. The young master got off the carriage. He looked up at the house in front of him, which was inscribed with the words, Farong Xiaozhu. Seeing the plaque, he laughed, then glanced at Su-won under the eaves. In his eyes, before the servant beside him could open the umbrella to shade him from the sun, he had already strode in front of Su-won. Su-won also held an oil paper umbrella to protect herself from the sun. A beauty holding an umbrella always looks charming. Su-won was a little confused. She didn't expect that the young uncle would come to her in person. They last met at the Earl's mansion. She did not keep his appointment, but unexpectedly, he came to see her anyway. There were 2 guards at the door of Furong Cottage, who were arranged by Jiangyu to guard the door. Upon seeing this, one of them went back to report the news. It's over, it's over. The young master's love rival is here. Young master, Suwon saluted him. After all, he was the young master of the Earl's mansion, and they, the common people, could only show respect to him. 6th Miss, there's no need to be so polite. Just treat me as an ordinary person. The young uncle's face when he looked at Suwon was one of undisguised admiration. The atmosphere now is a bit awkward, and Suwon doesn't know what to do next. 6th Miss, won't you invite me in to sit down? He took the initiative to ask to be a guest at home. Suwon responded out of politeness, thinking that since the guest had already arrived at his doorstep, he should always show hospitality. Of course. If you don't mind, please come to my humble abode and have a seat. Suwon led the way, and Ning Ziqian asked the servants to take the gifts they brought and carry them into the Su family. When he passed by the guard at the door, the guard folded his arms and gave him a neutral look. Ning Ziqian stopped for a moment and glanced at him sideways, obviously looking down on him. Jiangyu received the news, sneered, and thought to himself, this guy really will never stop. Suwon took him to sit in the front hall. There was no maid in the house, so she could only make tea for him herself. Ning Ziqian brought some cakes and precious tea to the visit. Young master, I have just arrived in Xiangzhou and have not arranged for servants to serve me. Please forgive me if I have not treated you well enough. Fortunately, Suwon and Madame Xie learned some tea ceremony and knew how to make a few cups of good tea. Young master took a sip and exclaimed, 6th Mrs. Tea is really delicious. It must be the best pre-rain Longjing tea. Suwon nodded in agreement, thinking that thanks to Jiangyu, there would be no shortage of good tea at home with his presence. The atmosphere fell into silence again. Suwon was sitting here alone with him, and he really didn't know what to say. The key point was that he kept staring at Suwon with a smile. He kept rubbing his hands on his knees, and he looked quite nervous. When Ning Ziqian was about to say something, Jiangyu came, followed by 2 guards, carrying in a large jar of ice. Wan, you didn't even tell me that there were guests at home. It's so hot. Don't let anyone get a heat stroke. But it's mainly you who's afraid of heat. How can you cool down without ice cubes? Jiangyu walked straight to Suwon and sat down with a smile on his face. Suwon could tell at a glance that this guy had changed his clothes on purpose. He put on a satin purple robe embroidered with gold thread and cloud patterns. He even changed into brand new shoes. They were so clean without a trace of dust, and he exuded a noble temperament. In addition, his appearance was extraordinary. If Ning Ziqian looked at him alone, he could be considered handsome, but when he stood next to Jiangyu, the difference was obvious. His high-profile appearance and his display of being particularly familiar with Suwon, as well as their conversation, seemed very intimate. This made Ning Ziqian, who had always been at the top of the food chain in Xiangzhou City, change his expression and look displeased. He had already asked around, but had not heard that Suwon was married. 2 guards placed a jar of ice in the middle of the hall, which emitted cold steam and instantly cooled the room. To be honest, even the Earl of Ningyuan's mansion couldn't produce so much ice at once for cooling off. Xiangzhou has little snowfall, so the ice storage capacity is also small, and saltpeter is even rare. Isn't he just showing off his wealth? Suwon saw through it but didn't say anything. He just drank tea to hide his smile. Don't mention it, after this guy came, she didn't feel embarrassed anymore. One after another, the guards brought a few plates of exquisite snacks and placed them next to Ning Ziqian. Wan, don't you love iced cheese the most? I asked someone to buy it for you. Come and try it. Jiangyu's strong aura was about to overflow the screen. Suwon had never seen anyone so good at making his presence felt. But she cooperated, took the cheese, and started drinking it. He only prepared it for her, but not for Ning Ziqian. The proud young uncle couldn't stand it anymore. It was the first time he was suppressed like this. 6th Miss, is this your brother? I heard that you have several older brothers. I wonder which son of your family this is? When he was told that he was Suwon's brother, Jiangyu's smile faded and he looked at Suwon. wanting to know how she would answer. He is not my brother. It only explained that he was not the brother, and didn't explain much more. You have to imagine the rest yourself. If he is not your brother, why does this brother look like an elder in your family? Elder? He's serious? Soo-won almost couldn't help laughing. Are you the young master of the Ningyuan Earl's mansion? Jong-yu finally spoke. It is me, who are you? When talking about his family, Ning Ziqian had a very proud expression and held his head high. It seems to be saying my status in Xiangzhou City is a first-class noble. Who are you? Jiang-yu's identity will not scare you to death, but he is relatively low-key in this regard. I am just a businessman with a little wealth in my family. I am a good match for the Su family. However, you are so noble that you can condescend to visit an ordinary merchant. You are really approachable. I heard that the wife of the Earl of Ningyuan is interested in marrying the Earl of Shuani in Suzhou. The daughter of the Earl of Shuani is well known in Suzhou. She is a perfect match for you. I wonder if I can have the honor to drink a glass of wine at your wedding in the future? Even if Jiang-yu didn't bring up his identity as the eldest son of the Duke's mansion, he could still choke you to the point of being speechless. You're about to become a married man, so stop dreaming about harming decent women. You are so devoted to her? Soo-won also accidentally heard a big news. He didn't expect that the young master already had a suitable marriage. This is great news, young master. I believe that the young lady of the Shuani Earl's mansion must be well-educated, beautiful and intelligent, and a perfect match for you. Soo-won is also here to congratulate you in advance. Seeing Soo-won like this, Ning Ziqian panicked and stood up to explain. Wan, it's not like that. She and I haven't even started dating yet. Young master, there is a difference between you and me, so please don't call me by my maiden name. It's inappropriate. Soo-won quickly distanced herself from him. Really, you are already married, and you still come here to show off like a peacock. She won't dare to go out and show her face in public anymore. Ning Ziqian sat back in his original seat dejectedly, his hands clenched tightly. He looked at Jiang-yu, who had a smile on his face, and that smile seemed ironic to him. Today, he was actually treated with respect by a merchant. When he returns, he will definitely find someone to thoroughly investigate his background. Ning Ziqian didn't stay in the Su mansion for long. He came with joy on his face, but left with an angry look on his face. After he left, Soo-won couldn't help but complain to Jiang-yu. Why are you angry with him? What if he gets angry and causes trouble for us? My Yuyan Hall hasn't even opened yet. She knew he was not afraid, but she was just saying that, after all, she didn't know about it now. Don't be afraid. I'll take care of everything. Who's afraid of who is still unknown? Jiang-yu just couldn't stand his self-serving attitude. Su Jing was still very nervous on the day of the palace examination. He had made it all the way to the finals, and now there were only 29 competitors left. The palace examination was held in the Hall of Supreme Harmony and was still a written test. Su Jing was the first in this year's imperial examination. When the emperor appeared in the Hall of Supreme Harmony, he asked the servants around him to point out to him who was the first in this year's imperial examination. Seeing that Su Jing was a man of talent, elegance, and good looks, the emperor nodded secretly to show his satisfaction. After performing the ceremony of kowtow 3 times and bow 9 times, the 30 candidates took their seats in turn, waiting for the emperor to announce the examination questions. To be honest, at that moment, everyone was nervous, afraid of choosing the wrong question, including Su Jing. Most people made 2 preparations, policy essays and poetry, but Su Jing made 3. When the question came out, all the candidates present were shocked and looked dejected because this year the emperor did not play by the rules and actually gave a policy essay question on flood control. They are only proficient in the great principles of saints, the way of being a human being, poetry, and songs. When have they ever delved into these things? No one knew where to start. Some who lived around the Xian River basin had only heard of some of the things that the Du Shuijian had done in the past and could give a few answers by following their own advice. Only Su Jing was stunned for a moment, then suddenly laughed. Thinking back to last year, Su-won specially ran to the academy to remind him of this matter. Now thinking about it, was it a coincidence or was it foreseen? She is truly the lucky star of the Su family, and even more so Su Jing's benefactor. He and Su Wan had discussed the topic of flood control. What she said, plus the ancient books he read everywhere, and the few strategies he developed on his own, were enough. Su Jing wrote a long essay and submitted 2 full answer sheets, but he was still not sure whether he could be approved by the emperor, nor did he dare to think whether there were any candidates in this group who knew more about flood control than him. But he was sure that with this answer sheet, passing the imperial examination would be no problem. On the first day of July, the emperor summoned Su Jing into the palace, and Su Jing knew that it had been done. Only the top 10 Jinshi candidates had the opportunity to see the emperor. However, he met the emperor alone and stayed in there for a full hour before coming out. He came out, he was already holding a red official robe with a black gauze hat on it. A group of servants followed behind him, holding rewards from the emperor. At the same time, countless pairs of eyes were fixed on him, and no one knew whether Su Jing was the top scorer in this year's exam. This can be concluded from the fact that he met the emperor alone and received many rewards. Generally, those who passed the exams would receive fixed rewards according to their rankings, but Su Jing received so many rewards just by meeting the emperor, which was an unprecedented honor. It showed how much the emperor valued him. The next day, the emperor issued an imperial decree declaring that the top scorer in this exam was Su Jing from Xiangzhou. His report on flood control was also posted under the imperial edict for all people to read. The next day, Su Yi did not go out to set up a stall, but asked Su Wan to go to the dental clinic to check out the storefront. The pawnbroker saw that it was Su Wan who came. He treated her warmly. It just so happened that Su Wan also wanted to buy 2 people to take back with him, as Yuyan Hall would need manpower when it opened. The storefront that Su Yi chooses does not need to be in a very good location. It just needs to be on the street where his portrait was originally drawn. A few dozen square meters will be enough, and he can rent it for half a year first. The location is average and the area is not large, so the rent is relatively cheap, 20 taels a month and 120 taels for half a year. Was established. The price of Su Yi's portraits had to be raised, from 50 cents per portrait to 80 cents per portrait, still adhering to the original intention of Jiang Taigong fishing. Those who are willing to take the bait will do so. Su Wan bought 2 more people from the pawn shop before leaving. One was a very smart and eloquent maid, who was 15 years old, named Chao Yun, and the other was a tall and strong male servant, named Biao Zi. The person who is in charge of the place must not be a thin dog, but he must stand there, giving people a sense of security, like a statue. If anyone dares to escape, he must be able to subdue the person. This Biaozi was bought for 80 taels of silver, simply because he has muscles and strength. Su Wan sent them to the workshop, and from then on they lived in the workshop with Xiao Shu and the others. Yuyantang's shop is also on Yumingsala Street, which makes it very convenient for work. Su Wan accompanied Su Yi to see the shop he rented. The area was indeed not large, but the light was very good, and the inside was very clean. He just needed to tidy it up a bit, do some simple decoration, and put some furniture in it. 5th brother, you own a shop now, what name do you plan to give it? Have you thought of something related to painting? Su Wan stood at the door and looked at the clean little shop. This street was full of shops selling snacks. He opened a painting studio here, which was really eye-catching. No, please help me think of one. Sui hadn't thought of anything yet, so he just rented the shop and left the naming task to Su Wan. I'll take it, are you sure? Su Wan pointed at his nose. Yes, you have a lot of ideas, and the names you come up with will definitely be good and attractive, so I'll leave it to you, good Wan Wan. Su Yi smiled with a harmless look on his face, and Su Wan smiled helplessly. So, she thought hard and decided to adopt the modern curiosity psychology, which was called, let's call it Yojia Painting Studio. What? Su Yi misheard for a moment and didn't hear clearly. So Su Wan wrote it down on paper for him. Looking at the name, Su Yi smiled. His Wan Wan was indeed a creative person. Okay, let's use this name. I'll go find a craftsman to order a plaque. I'll paint a few more paintings and sell them in the store. Oh, and I'll also order a custom seal to sign my name. I've given myself a name, Wu Yang, and I'll print it on the seal. What do you think? When Su Yi said this, he seemed to become more lively. exuding a confident glow. Afraid that Suwon didn't know, he wrote it down on a piece of paper. Wu Yang, what a good name. It fits fifth brother's temperament very well, the meaning is good too, and it has a sense of mystery. From now on, I will call fifth brother Master Wu Yang. Is also the title in the original work, and later it was called Wu Yang Jusher. Wan, you are making fun of me. How dare you call yourself a lay Buddhist now?
Suisimilet embarrassedly.
Fifth brother, can you sell me a few of your paintings? When you become famous in the future, I can enjoy a life of luxury with your paintings. Suwon was serious. In the original novel, Soo-yi sold paintings on the street in the early days, but no one was interested. Some people with discerning eyes bought a few of his paintings. After the fifth brother became famous, his paintings became rare masterpieces circulated in the world. Every painting of the fifth brother is worth a fortune, and the most classic ones are even sold to priceless values. She was close to the water and got the moon first, so she asked her fifth brother to give her a few paintings. In the future, she would also become a collector of famous paintings. Today, because the fifth brother has found the right shortcut and his portrait painting skills, his fame has slowly spread in Xiangzhou. He will surely become famous earlier than the original author. In the original work, he was not famous at all, and he started selling paintings directly, which ultimately resulted in no one buying them. But a portrait is different. If a person can be portrayed vividly, that is the best way to see the person's skill. Since Wanwan doesn't mind, of course I'm willing to make a fool of myself. Soo-yi was very happy that Suwon always supported him unconditionally. Fifth brother, why did you name yourself Wu Yang? Suwon really wanted to know. The homonym of Wu Yang is Wu Yang, which means safe and sound. I hope that in the future, our family will be safe. I also hope that everything we encounter and experience will be safe. I also hope that my original intention will never change and will not be like the ripples on the water, which will be swayed by the wind. Yes, even after Soo-yi became famous in the later period, not everyone could get his paintings. Only those who truly loved painting could get his paintings. I wish fifth brother success and safety. Suwon stretched out his hand to high-five him. This is the exclusive code between the brother and sister. On the opening day of Yuyan Hall, Suwon dressed festively and the whole family attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony together. Suwon ordered thousands of gift boxes and prepared to launch a package. Inside the gift boxes, there were 2 pieces of basic goat milk soap, 2 pieces of dyed goat milk soap, 1 piece each of floral soap and hair soap. It was called the 6-6 Good Luck Gift Box. During the first 3 days of the opening, if you purchased a 66 Das Hun gift box, you could take 6 bars of soap home for only 166 coins. However, if you buy the 6-6 Great Fortunes gift box, you will not be able to participate in the promotion where you can get a dyed goat milk soap for free when you buy 2 bars of hair soap in our store. Originally, these 6 bars of soap were worth 225 coins in total, but now they can be bought for only 166 coins, which is a great deal. Moreover, each person can only buy 1 copy. There are a total of 1,000 copies, and they will be sold out while stocks last. 3 days ago, we found a lot of children in Xiangzhou and started distributing handwritten flyers to publicize the opening date of Yuyan Hall and the activities on the opening day. On the opening day, many customers came to the door waiting to buy. Su-chan set off a few firecrackers. The plaque of Yuyan Hall and the interior of the store were hung with red silk. Soo-yun took a special leave to come back to show his support. Jiang-yu also came and brought many guards to protect secretly to prevent anyone from causing trouble. However, he did not show up, but watched the scene in the restaurant next door. Suwon took a pair of scissors and cut the ribbon, and Yuyan Hall officially opened. Guests rushed in, all to buy the 6-6 Great Fortune gift boxes. 1,066 Great Fortune gift boxes could earn 1,660 taels. Excluding the cost of customizing the gift boxes and the raw materials, the net profit was 1,500 taels. When it comes to marketing, no one is better than Suwon. Not only that, today Yuantang's products will enjoy a 5-cent discount in the first 3 days. When you buy 1, you will get a basic goat milk soap for free. There are many discounts and benefits. In just one morning, the Lulu Das Hun gift boxes were sold out. Su Wan and the Su family were busy all day until closing time in the evening, and all the 10,000 bars of soap they had prepared were sold out. There are 6,000 bars of soap in the gift box alone, and the rest are sold in packages. Basic goat milk soap and dyed goat milk soap given away cost more than 2,000 yuan. Fortunately, the workshop still has a lot of stock, and they will be put on sale tomorrow. Su Wan finally calculated the total account to see how much he had earned today. In the end, he found that the total turnover reached 2,800 taels. Excluding the cost of raw materials, they estimated that they could earn a minimum of 2,500 taels. If this continues, the revenue from goat milk soap has far exceeded her original expectations. She told everyone about today's profits. Everyone was shocked. This was only the first day's turnover. If she continued like this, how much would she earn in a month? Su Wan, you're so amazing.
I was stunned today.
That lucky gift box made me want to grab 2 sets to use.
Su Yun was really impressed.
There was nothing wrong with Su Wan's business. With just a few words, he could make everyone itchy. It seemed that they were losing money to gain reputation, but in fact they made a lot of money. Moreover, those customers seemed to be afraid of missing out on this bargain, and they were scrambling to get the goods. Sprinkle some water. Su Wan adjusted her hair bun without any modesty. Yes, this Xiangzhou store alone is so popular. If we open branches in other states in the future, it will be amazing. Ching, you must study arithmetic with Wanwan. Wanwan trusts you so much. You must not let her down. When my uncle heard that he had earned 2,800 taels in one day, he could not hide his excitement. He firmly believed that his daughter would live a better life if she lived with her niece. Dad, I know. Sometimes I feel that I, as a sister, am not as capable as my younger sister. I feel ashamed. But fortunately, Wanwan won't laugh at me. I am very happy in my heart. Yang Qingqing was very satisfied. Su Wan gave her dignity. When she got married in the future, she could live a comfortable life with this dignity. Do and flatter me. The good business will only last for a few days. After these few days, most of the people in Xiangzhou Prefecture will have bought so much goat milk soap. It will take some time to use it. After that, the business may not be so good. Uncle, hurry to the flower farm to see if there are any new flowers. Order a batch quickly. Only by launching new and fragrant soaps can we keep the customer base. Nowadays, goat milk soap is a hot commodity in Xiangzhou. People have a collecting mentality, especially women. When they hear that a new rouge has been released, they can't help but buy it. The same is true for goat milk soap. When a new fragrance is released, they will buy more even if they haven't used up their own at home. After all, some flowers have a short blooming period, so once they're sold out, they are gone. Su Wan is indeed an experienced person. Isn't she like this in modern times? Whenever there is a popular color, she can't help but buy it. Many of them she only used once or twice are piled up there. Later, she traveled into a book, and she often thought of the empire she had conquered. Before she had time to enjoy it, her heart ached. At that time, one of her male colleagues laughed at her, saying that she only had a mouth. How could she possibly use up all the makeup she bought? Okay, I'll go to the flower farm tomorrow, but there's one more thing I need to tell you. The demand for our goods is too great, and we still don't have enough manpower. But if we want to buy more people, we don't know where to arrange them. The yard is not big enough either. It takes 3 or 4 days to dry the last batch of soap. Once the yard is full, we can't make new soap during this period. It just so happened that the family next door to the workshop was moving away. I chatted with them when I had nothing to do. They were planning to transfer the house to the dental office. I thought, isn't that a good thing? When the time comes, we can connect the two sides. Their yard is big enough. After connecting the two sides, we can leave a few rooms. It's just right to buy a few new people, and they won't have to worry about having no place to live. My uncle also works hard for the workshop and keeps an eye out for these potential problems. Su Wan nodded thoughtfully and asked, Uncle, have you asked how much money they want to sell it for?
I've inquired about it.
They spent nearly 400 taels when they bought it. They've lived here for more than 10 years now. His second son has made some money from running a snack bar business over the years, and he plans to move to a new yard, So he's selling this yard for 280 taels. My uncle has already inquired about these issues, and he also thinks it is appropriate, otherwise he would not have mentioned it to Suwon. Suwon also discovered the problems his uncle mentioned. The new arrivals Chao Yun and Biaozi now have to squeeze together with Mangzhong and the others, which is not very convenient. Okay, I'll go and see it myself tomorrow. If it's suitable, I'll buy it. Then you'll have to do the work of connecting the yard. At the end of the year, I'll give everyone dividends. It's not hard, it's not hard. Wanwan, you are being too kind. Uncle waved his hands quickly. Yuyan Hall was about to close, when Zhang Yu's secret guard suddenly came over and bowed to Suwon as soon as he entered the door. Miss, our young master sees that you have worked hard today, and has set up a table of wine and food in the moonlit West Tower. Please come over for dinner. Indeed, everyone was busy all day today. At noon, they took advantage of the few customers and hurriedly ate a bite of food.
No one has eaten until now.
I guess everyone is too hungry. Then let's go. Today is our first day of business. Everyone has worked hard. We should celebrate the opening. Let's go to Yumanshi Lu and have a meal. After Suwon spoke, everyone was naturally happy to follow, but Chao Yun and Biaozi took the initiative to say that they would not go, and wanted to go back early to rest and prepare for the opening tomorrow. Suwon was also a considerate boss, so he gave them 2 taels of silver as a reward and told them to buy some food they wanted to take back. He guessed that Mangzhong had also left some food for them.
Thank you, sir.
No need to thank me. Just do your job well, and be smart. There will be many more rewards like this in the future. Suwon waved his hand and told them to go back first. Chaoyun and Biaozi were very grateful. They felt so lucky to have met such a master. In the past few days, the sisters in the yard only praised how nice the Dong family was and how much they respected them. They all said that only here did they experience for the first time what it felt like to be a human being with dignity, and sometimes they could even forget their status as servants. Yuyan Hall closed its door, and Suwon took her mother's hand and went to Yueman West Building. Jiang Yu had prepared a full banquet and was waiting for everyone. Suwon made a lot of money today, but she didn't take advantage of the meal. She was happy in the evening and drank a few glasses of plum wine. She was actually a little drunk. Finally, she insisted on giving manager Luo 20 taels of silver as today's meal money, and no one could persuade her otherwise. Shopkeeper Luo was helpless and didn't dare to answer, so he could only look at Jiang Yu for help. Jiang Yu stood at the back. Suwon was supported by her mother and Yang Qingqing. He looked at her with gentle and doting eyes, with a smile on his face. When he accepted the gaze from Shopkeeper Luo, he nodded slightly. Only then did Shopkeeper Luo dare to take the hot silver. Only then did Aunt Sue leave feeling satisfied. Suwon was carried back home by his third brother. When he first drank the plum wine, he only felt that it was sweet, but he didn't expect it to have such a strong aftertaste. When she got up the next day, Jiang Yu and a few guards were the only ones left in the house. Sue's mother went to Yuyan Hall to help. She had promised her uncle last night that she would go and see the yard next to the workshop. She had a headache, so she went to the kitchen to get some hot water for washing. When she entered, she found Jiang Yu was also in the kitchen. He was lighting a fire in front of the stove, and something was cooking in the pot, bubbling with steam. Awake? I made you some sweet soup. You were drunk last night. You must be having a headache right now, right? Jiang Yu took a clean bowl and spoon and poured her a bowl of hot sweet soup. Suwon felt warm in her heart, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but rise. What should she do? The sweet soup cooked by young Master Jiang himself was so delicious. Let it hang for a while. I'll go wash up. Suwon fetched some water to wash up first. Jiang Yu saw that she had to do all these things by herself, which didn't seem like she was a boss. Have you ever thought about giving yourself 2 maids to serve you? Now that you are the head of Yuyan Hall, you have to do these things yourself. When you go out to discuss business in the future, you have to bring 2 people with you. Jiang Yu was right. Everyone in the family was very busy now. With cooking and other things, Sue's mother had to come back from the workshop every day to cook for the whole family. She made money to make her mother Sue happy, but now she has to suffer with it. Yes, you are right. We need a few maids to clean and serve in the mansion, and a few maids to cook in the kitchen. There's no need to buy smart ones for those who work in the mansion, as long as they can do their job. She does need 1 or 2 maids to follow her, so that she can take them with her when she goes out to discuss business in the future. My third brother will be joining the army soon. Now that I think about it, the recruitment notice will probably be posted in Xiangzhou soon. The people who clean the house can go to the pawn shop to buy whatever they want, but the people who serve you cannot be careless. I will arrange 2 people who are good at martial arts to protect you closely. Plan for her again. No, you don't have to think about everything for me. It makes me feel like I can't do anything without you. This would make her feel that she was dependent on Jiangyu. Suwon's words made Jiangyu feel uncomfortable, as if he had been stabbed. He handed the sweet soup to her and said with a slightly aggrieved tone, "You don't like me being nice to you? It's not that I don't like you. It's just that I feel that I'm too dependent on you for everything. What if this becomes a habit in the future?" Suwon subconsciously said what he was thinking. Isn't it good to rely on me? Isn't it good to make it a habit? Jiangyu looked at her expectantly. Once it becomes a habit, who should I rely on if you are not by my side in the future? I will take care of everything for you. Even if I'm not by your side, you still have someone to rely on. Jiangyu answered these words almost without any hesitation. It is undeniable that Suwon was very touched at that moment, but who is she to him now? Now, they are just a pair of good friends. On what basis can she accept his kindness to her? If she still doesn't understand Jiangyu's feelings for her during this period, then she would be a fool. He likes himself, so he does those things for himself. But in the original book, Guyu saved him, and he liked Guyu. Now he saved him, and he likes himself. Therefore, the person he likes is never fixed. Instead, it changes according to the plot. He will like whoever saves him. Such feelings are difficult for her to accept. She does not want this kind of love mixed with the gratitude for saving his life. Suwon would say whatever she wanted to say. She had a mouth, so she had to make it clear. Jiangyu, you like me, right? Jiangyu's heart skipped a beat and began beating wildly. An inexplicable restlessness almost broke through his throat. Suwon calmly and affectionately replied, "Yes, I like you. What about you?
Do you like me?"
Suwon did not answer his question for the time being, but also took a deep breath. "You like me because I saved you. You were nice to me in the beginning because you wanted to repay me for insisting on saving you. But as time went by, this feeling gradually turned into love. What if I didn't let my second brother save your life? What if I chose to turn a blind eye from the beginning? What if the person who saved you became someone else? If you meet me again, will you still like me this much? Will you hate me because I turned a blind eye to you? Will you fall in love with the other person who saved you? Will you be so nice to that person and do so much for her? If you just want to repay a favor, then you have already done it, and you don't owe us anything." When Suwon asked this question, Jiangyu didn't know how to answer for a moment. But he couldn't deny that he wanted to be nice to her in the beginning because she saved him and he wanted to repay her. But it didn't take long before he fell in love with her. It was also the first time that Jiangyu liked a girl so much. He only knew that when he liked someone, he didn't want to see her get hurt, and he just wanted her to be safe and sound all the time. He didn't think so much. After Suwon said these words, his feelings seemed to no longer be pure. He was a little distracted, and after she asked so many questions in a row, he didn't know how to answer. Yes, if the person who saved him was not Suwon, when he saw her again, would he still fall in love with her as much as he does now? In a trance, he recalled that the meeting at the Land Temple was not the first time he and Suwon met. Earlier, she had bumped into him accidentally in an inn, but he did not pay attention at that time. Are always so sensitive in relationships and tend to think too much. This was the first time in Suwon's life that she fell in love with someone. She only hoped that this relationship, like all original relationships, was about mutual attraction due to a certain quality in the other person, and not because of this bloody filter of a life-saving grace that made him fall in love with her. In fact, what made it most difficult for her to let go was that in the original novel, Guyu saved Jiangyu, so he liked her, although his love for her was not very strong. Just because I was moved, those things that I didn't care about before have now become the things I care about the most. It's like a seed taking root and sprouting in my heart. When it's halfway grown, it rains for a long time, and its roots are gradually corroded by the rain and become sour and about to rot. Soo-won still finished drinking the sweet soup he cooked for her. At the end, she said, "It's delicious." After leaving Farong Cottage, Soo-won was so worried that she didn't even realize when she had reached the end of the alley. By the time she realized it, she was about to hit a wall. Soo-won turned back and went to the yard next door with his uncle to take a look. He thought it was good, so he gave his uncle a banknote and asked him to buy the yard and then take care of the matters of connecting it up. Some questions. Soo-won was actually afraid to see Jung-yu again because she wanted to know what his answers were. Girls are prone to worrying about gains and losses. If they don't think about all those messy things when it comes to love, it's abnormal. Either they don't like the person enough, or they don't understand what love means. Soo-won then went to Yen Hall and went back after a busy day. Yesterday's gift boxes had been sold out. Today's business was not as good as yesterday, but there were still quite a few customers. When she returned home at night, she entered the house with trepidation, only to find that the guy had moved out and no longer lived in the Soo family. Soo-won began to reflect on whether what he said in the morning was too harsh. But what she feared more was her own self-indulgence. Soo's mother was puzzled as to why Jung-yu left without saying goodbye. She should have cooked him a good meal before leaving. But if the guards guarding the door were not still there, they would really think he was gone. Soo's mother asked Soo-won to ask the reason and whether there was something urgent, but as proud as Soo-won was, she would not take the initiative to ask. Later, and the guards only said that they had not left Xiangzhou, which meant they were still in the city, so they must be in the moon over West Tower. Soo-won did not regret making things clear with him. If he was sincere, he would have thought it through and then explained. The next day, she went to a pawn shop and bought 2 maids to do the cleaning, 2 servants to guard the door, and 2 old women in the kitchen who would be responsible for cooking and washing clothes in the future. She also planned to choose a maid that she would like to serve herself. She asked the nanny at the pawn shop if there was anyone who knew some martial arts. As a woman in this ancient and strange world, she always had to have a maid to serve her when she went out to do business, so knowing some martial arts would not put her at a disadvantage. Unfortunately, the servant trader only sold servants. But what if these servants were taught kung fu, and it might backfire on them in the future? Each of them is full of resentment, but they just look obedient. If we teach them martial arts and they turn out to be born bad, wouldn't that be aiding and abetting the evil? Forget it. If I can't find one that suits my taste, I'll just give up. However, she suddenly remembered that in the original novel, the heroine also needed a maid who knew kung fu for personal protection, so she went to the black market servant market to buy servants. The servants there were of all kinds of backgrounds, and some were specially trained to be thugs, just to cater to the needs of the rich and sell them at a high price. It's just that the female servants coming out of those places, having survived the dire straits, their minds are not absolutely pure, so they are difficult to tame. But once tamed, they will be loyal to the masters. Of course, she didn't dare to go to the black market, let alone the servant market, so she planned to ask her 3rd brother to accompany her. When Soo-chun heard that his sister was going to the servant market, he was very shocked. It was better not to get involved in such a place, and he didn't want his sister to get involved. But I also heard that she wanted 2 maids who knew martial arts to protect her closely, so I came up with what I thought was a good idea. How about this, you wait at home? If you trust 3rd brother will choose for you. I am a martial artist, and I will definitely choose the best one for you.
This is also fine.
In fact, Soo-won trusted his 3rd brother very much, so he nodded and handed the task to him. He also gave him 200 taels of silver notes and asked him to make sure to choose the best one. For the sake of quality, even if there was only one, it would be fine. Soo-chun took the money and went to do the work without any hesitation. At the same time, Soo-won also settled the newly bought servants and servants. They were all considered as menial workers, so they didn't cost much money to buy them. Usually not many guests at home, so the 2 maids not only had to take care of the courtyard, but were also responsible for making tea. The afternoon, Soo-won went to Yuan Hall. Yang Qingqing was looking at the account book and learning to do it for her. However, This was just a draft for practice, and the real account book could not be made for her yet. After reading it, Soo-won was quite satisfied. Probably because her uncle had taught her at home, she remembered each stroke clearly, and her handwriting was also very neat. However, Soo-won herself couldn't understand the abacus, so she gave her the multiplication table and asked her to memorize it. Yang Qingqing felt that the multiplication table was really interesting. It actually made people suddenly enlightened when it came to arithmetic. After memorizing it, it was as if the formulas were remembered in her mind, making her mental arithmetic faster. She had something else to tell Soo-won. That was that the marriage that her family had asked the matchmaker to arrange for her had already been arranged. They had found several families in Xiangzhou City that were well matched. Each family had its own business and a simple family structure. After Yang Qingqing got married, she would not have to maintain any messy relationships, nor would she have to worry about making a living. The matchmaker has picked 2 marriage proposals for me. They have already seen my portrait and thought I was suitable, so they have arranged to meet each other. I want you to go with me and help me take a look. She asked Soo-won to accompany her. Soo-won should be happy, but the problem was that she was an unmarried girl and it was not appropriate for her to go to such an occasion, but she couldn't refuse Yang Qingqing. Where are you going to meet? In Chen's tavern.
Yang Qingqing replied.
Are you alone? There are also matchmakers who are trying to bring us together, but they are all very eloquent and can even make a dead person come alive. I'm afraid they'll be tricked into doing so. Yang Qingqing was also smart and knew to find an outsider to check things out. She had been to Chen's tavern, where each seat was separated by a bamboo curtain, making it quite private. Well, I won't show up with you, but we'll eavesdrop from the table next to you. After all, I'm not engaged yet, so it's not appropriate for me to show up in this kind of situation. Yang Qingqing nodded quickly, and the 2 sisters reached an agreement. This was already the 4th day that Jiang Yu had been hiding, and he hadn't shown up. Although Soo-won tossed and turned at night and couldn't sleep, she became even more anxious and worried. She felt that she had said something too harsh and wondered whether she should take the initiative to find him and talk to him again. But then she felt that she was not wrong. She just wanted a definite answer. Was it that difficult? After thinking about it, she became even more depressed. She swore secretly in her heart that if he didn't show up in half a month, he would be out. In the past few days, the dark circles under Soo-won's eyes became deeper. Sue's mother thought that she was too busy recently and therefore could not sleep well. She got a medicated pillow from somewhere for her to sleep on at night. But Soo-won was not tired at all. She was indeed busy with wild thoughts, and in reality, she did not do much physical work. Soo-won used powder to cover her dark circles and put on lip balm to improve her complexion before going to the place where Yang Qingqing was going to have a blind date. Chen's tavern was relatively quiet, and there were few diners in the morning. Soo-won dressed low-key and entered the tavern with a veil covering her face. But Yang Qingqing still recognized her at a glance. She felt relieved after she came in. The matchmaker had been speaking for the man, but the man was too rude. The woman had already arrived, but he was late and had not arrived yet. There was an empty table next to Yang Qingqing, so Soo-won sat down there, ordered a pot of tea and some snacks. About a cup of tea later, the man finally arrived. His surname was Meng. His family opened a wonton shop in the snack street in the south of the city. It was an old shop. His family also owned property and had a stable source of income. Yesterday, Yang Qingqing gave me a detailed account of his information. He is 20 years old this year and is a student. He did not pass the examination to become a scholar this year, so he is still studying in the academy in the provincial capital. The provincial capital belongs to the city, and there are more than one academy. Some are for aristocrats, some are for ordinary people, and some are stuck in between. Mr. Meng is one of them. Looks okay, but his face looks a bit like the scheming type. You can tell from the fact that he was deliberately late today that he wanted to show off his power and suppress the girl before they even decided on the relationship. After he sat down, he introduced himself politely. His etiquette was standard, but in that one night, he had already looked Yang Qingqing up and down. His eyes were too explicit and seemed a bit frivolous. Yang Qingqing is also a fair and clean beauty. She is 17 years old this year. She has grown up completely and is graceful and elegant. Influenced by the Su family, her uncle also sent her to school for a few years despite the pressure. The temperament of an educated person is different, and it can be clearly seen. The man's name is Meng Lin, which really sounds like a name a scholar would come up with. It can be seen that he is quite satisfied with Yang Qingqing. However, cousin Qingqing's reaction was indifferent, so she probably didn't feel anything. The matchmaker started to make efforts again. In fact, she picked many families for the Yang family to see. In the end, she only selected a few families. They all had two similar characteristics: scholars and only children. My uncle believes that scholars are respectful and not rude. An only son does not have to deal with the relationship with sisters-in-law, so there will be no problem of favoritism in the husband's family in daily life. After all, there is only one son and daughter-in-law. Although there are inevitable frictions in the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, these are all things that women must overcome and learn how to get along with others. Unless the other party has no mother, there is no need to worry. Miss Yang, I only have a rough understanding of the families of both parties. I will also tell you about my family in detail. My ancestral home has always been in Xiangzhou. My ancestors were all scholars. The women in my family can read and write. You have also been educated. I heard from the matchmaker that my family has 2 houses. In recent years, my family has run some small businesses and saved some money. We will not be tight on money in the future. I heard that Miss Yang was originally from Qingyuan and moved to Xiangzhou this year. She has a younger brother and no real estate. But you and the Su family of Yuan Hall are cousins, right? Yang Qingqing just nodded without saying anything. Meng Lin thought she was shy and smiled knowingly. However, there was something in the tone of his voice that could not be ignored, a feeling that he was superior to you, which made Yang Qingqing very uncomfortable. Moreover, Meng Lin emphasized from the beginning that his family has always been city dwellers and a family of scholars. He even compared his family's property with that of the Yang family who had just arrived in Xiangzhou. Finally, he mentioned Yuan Hall. Presumably, if it weren't for this relationship, he would probably look down on Yang Qingqing and would not agree to this blind date. I also heard that you are working in Yuan Hall now. I wonder what you are doing? Speaking of this, Yang Qingqing raised her head and said proudly, My father is now the manager of the Yuantang workshop. My cousin wants me to become the shopkeeper of the Yuantang shop in the future. I am currently in the learning stage. Our family has only been in Xiangzhou for less than a year, so we have not purchased any property, but it won't be long before we do. This was the confidence given by his mother's family. Wasn't he proud of his family's wealth before? A wonton shop might not earn as much in 10 years as Yuan Tang did in 1 month. If she were in charge, the monthly salary would definitely be high. It would be a lucrative job. If Yang Qingqing married into their family in the future, they would also be marrying into the Yuantang. But Yang Qingqing didn't have a good impression of Meng Lin, thinking he was too self-righteous. But Meng Lin was very satisfied with her because she was beautiful and had a good background, and she could help him in the future. In the subsequent conversation, Yang Qingqing's response was neither warm nor cold, which made Meng Lin a little panicked. I had a very pleasant conversation with Miss Yang today. I think our personalities are very compatible. This is the sachet embroidered by my mother.
Please don't dislike it.
There are also some rules for the sachet, especially for men and women who are attracted to each other. When they meet for the first time, the man will prepare a sachet. If the man likes the woman, he will give it to her. If not, he will not give it to her. Now, Meng Lin's meaning is very clear. Yang Qingqing smiled at him politely, and Meng Lin began to arrange the next meeting. If the woman went, she would say hello to the matchmaker, and the matchmaker would convey it, which proved that the woman was very satisfied with this marriage. On the contrary, if you are not satisfied, there is no need to see you again. Yang Qingqing was the latter. After Meng Lin left, Yang Qingqing also sent away the matchmaker, who was still chattering. Su Wan then stood up and came to her side, took off her face scarf and said with a smile, Is cousin Qingqing satisfied? Yang Qingqing looked at her with resentment. Do you think I am satisfied with this? Tell me why you are dissatisfied. Soo-won wanted to see what she thought. Meng Lin thinks highly of himself and always feels that he is superior to me. What I want is a husband who respects me, not one who always thinks that I am inferior to him and that my status is not worthy of him in daily interactions. If I had moved out of Yuyan Hall, he would probably look down on me even more. I also don't want to marry into their family in the future and have him look down on me every day as if I were marrying above my station. I would rather marry someone of lower status. At least I can be praised. Yang Qingqing is not love-brained. She lives a fresh life and knows what she wants. Isn't that good? You are so opinionated, and you still ask me to check for you. You can handle it yourself next time. Just tell me when you come back, and I will analyze it for you then.
Yang Qingqing nodded.
Her cousin was very busy, and was someone who would do great things. She would definitely not be held back by things like this like her. But now that I've reached that age, I have to get married, otherwise people will gossip about me. Later, Yang Qingqing asked the matchmaker to reject Meng Lin's invitation and return the sachet. The matchmaker was puzzled and thought, isn't Meng Lin's condition good enough? However, Yang Qingqing said that if people try to get along with each other even though they know they are not suitable, there will only be one more resentful couple in this world. The matchmaker has been in this business for a long time, so she naturally knows that it is not easy to arrange a marriage, so she tries to arrange the next one. The store didn't need too many people, so Soo-won didn't stay in the store all the time. When he had nothing to do, he would accompany Soo-yi to the shop to watch the decoration. This is the 10th day of the Cold War with Jiangyu. She temporarily understands it as a Cold War, so it should count. I kept repeating to myself, there are only 5 days left. I will be out, really out. Soo-yi could see that his sister was absent-minded, and he couldn't help but ask, did you have a quarrel with Jiangyu? No, Soo-won denied it quickly. If not, why are you so absent-minded all day long? To be honest, Soo-yi's attitude towards Jiangyu now is lukewarm. Of course there is some affection, but he wanted to be his brother-in-law, and the probation period has not yet passed. Now that he has made Soo-won unhappy, he silently deducted points from him in his heart. Can I be arguing about something else? Besides, what's my relationship with him? Why would I quarrel with him? Soo-won's tone was a little sour, but she didn't even notice it. The more she denied, the more suffocated she felt. Speaking of the quarrel, it was she who started it in the first place. Jiangyu inexplicably took on the blame for her anger caused by waking up in the morning. If she didn't like to play it straight, she might still be fine now, but she doesn't regret it. If she can't even withstand this test, what's the point of talking about love? Well, you better not have any other relationship. Soo-yi's tone was fairly brisk, but there was a hint of sarcasm in it. Yang Qingqing's second blind date also ended in failure. She was very angry and went to Soo-won to complain. The second blind date didn't even deserve a name. In Yang Qingqing's mouth, he became that man. She said that it was fine at the beginning. She looked more handsome and gentle than Meng Lin and seemed to have a good temper. She did not feel superior to others. But the specific reason why she couldn't accept it was that when he mentioned filial piety, he actually began to list one by one the etiquette she should follow when she got married into her husband's family. Their family also runs a small business. Her mother is a widow who raised her son alone. The family sells lanterns and business is pretty good. But despite this, their family was not a particularly wealthy family. At most, they were a well-off family. They hired maids to do the laundry and cooking, and there were several experienced craftsmen making lanterns in the shop, so they considered themselves a wealthy family. No matter what, when she marries into his family in the future, there will be no other requirements, and it will not prevent her from working for Yuyan Hall in public. But there is one thing. She has to serve her mother-in-law well. At first, Yang Qingqing thought that the filial man must have good character and was satisfied with him, but the following conversation left her speechless. He required that Yang Qingqing visit her mother-in-law every morning and evening. She had to get up as soon as the rooster crowed in the morning to make breakfast, and personally bring it to her mother-in-law's room to help her wash and eat before she could go about her own business. In the evening, before sunset, she must come back to prepare dinner and wait for her husband and mother-in-law to eat. In the evening, she must also fetch water to serve her mother-in-law the foot bath ceremony. He is not allowed to refute his mother-in-law's lecture and must respond to her call whenever she calls him because it was not easy for his mother to raise him alone. He hopes that his future wife will be able to fulfill her filial duties for him because as a man, these things are inconvenient for him. The most infuriating thing was that he said that Yang Qingqing must give birth to a child within 2 years of marriage. It was not required that the first child must be a son, but a son must be born because their family was a single-line family and the bloodline could not be cut off. Finally, she had to read the rules and precepts for women carefully and abide by the rules for women, and that was all. That's all. If you don't know, you might think his family didn't marry a new bride, but bought a servant. He's so beautiful. Why don't you splash it on him to wake him up and tell him to stop daydreaming and look in the mirror to see what kind of person he is? He's a mama's boy, and he has the nerve to show off in public. It's best for him to die alone. He won't bring disaster to others, and he will lose a lifetime of merit because of it.
Su-won couldn't stand this kind of man.
As calm as she was, when she heard Yang Qingqing's description, she brought herself into the situation and became very angry. Yang Qingqing watched her lips opening and closing, and then she uttered one complaint after another. Each sentence was exquisite, and her tense little face could not help but laugh. If the matchmaker hadn't stopped me, I would have splashed water on him to wake him up. For you, the road ahead is long and difficult. Why don't you go to the temple and draw a fortune stick to ask for your love?
Su-won suggested sincerely.
Yang Qingqing also nodded in agreement. She wanted to ask the gods where her good marriage was. By the way, Wan, what is a mama's boy? Yang Qingqing had never heard of such a new word and thought it was not a good word. Su-won explained. A mama's boy is someone who listens to his mother too much and is centered around his mother's thoughts. He does whatever his mother says and agrees with her unconditionally, and you can't object. This kind of man usually likes to use the fact that his mother raised him with great difficulty as an excuse to morally blackmail you. This kind of man lacks independent thinking, responsibility, and principles. Do you think that what this man said was not instructed by his mother? Yang Qingqing nodded vigorously because Su-won's summary was so accurate. You rewrite, I learned a new word. Yang Qingqing's marriage, just as Su-won said, is a long and difficult road. She has successively met an ordinary man, a mama's boy, a phoenix man, and a greasy man. Every time Yang Qingqing came back, she complained and nothing went her way, so she planned to take Su-won to the temple to pray for a marriage. Before this, Su-won hadn't seen Jiang Yu for half a month. This was the last day of the deadline, and Su-won was in a gloomy mood the whole day. It was not until the guards around Jiang Yu came to her and said that Cheonyang wanted her to go to Yueman West Tower to discuss something. When Su-won heard that the moon was full in the West Tower, she finally perked up. She dressed herself up beautifully and combed her hair very neatly. I don't know what she wanted to prove. It was still the same private room as last time, but there was one less person this time. Yuman Shilu still welcomed Su-won warmly. When she went upstairs, she looked around but did not ask about Manager Luo. Cheonyang was waiting in the room, just like the last time they met. She was dressed in red and looked very charming and seductive. A few samples of small porcelain boxes, which contained the finished product of Ice Skin Jade Bone Cream, hand cream, and ordinary facial cream. The Loazadai was packed in a mahogany box with a pink peach branch painted on it and contained 3 spiral-shaped pens, which was the legendary Gouda luxury product Loazadai. Those white porcelain boxes are all designed to be simple and elegant. Cheonyang will put them on sale in this form in the future. Please ask her to see if there is anything that needs to be changed. Su-won trusted Cheonyang's work and was very satisfied, saying that there was no need to change it. Moreover, Cheonyang has already taken a fancy to the shop of Bingjitang, which is not far from Yuantang, and is currently under renovation. It has 2 floors. The workshop has been decided, and the goods are being prepared in the coming days. Su-won nodded repeatedly to show her satisfaction. This professional is to do things quickly and exquisitely. However, at the end, she couldn't help but mention, "Is your young master so busy? He is the owner of Bingjitang after all, but he doesn't care about it at all." As soon as he finished speaking, the door was pushed open and Jiang Yu stood at the door. Today he had changed from his usual purple clothes to a black robe, with his wrists tied up with sleeves and his hair tied into a high ponytail, which was very neat. The ends of his hair were a little messy, and there was mud on his boots. He was covered in dew, as if he had rushed back from somewhere overnight. From his slightly haggard face, it can be seen that he did not sleep last night, or perhaps he had not slept well for several days in a row. Jiangyu just came back from Suzhou next door. He had to deal with some things a few days ago, and was delayed for a few days. After he rushed back, he heard that she had been talking to Qionyang in Yueman West Tower for half an hour. He was afraid that he would miss the time, because he had something to say to her. Seeing him appear, Suwon's heartbeat couldn't help but quicken, and even her nose felt a little sore, but she remained calm on her face. She just glanced at him lightly, and then looked away. Jiangyu didn't care about his dusty appearance. He took off the cloak from his shoulders and threw it to his men. Then he looked at Qionyang. Is the matter over? Qionyang looked at Jiangyu, then at the expressionless Suwon. Knowing that the couple had quarreled, she smiled knowingly and nodded. We have finished the discussion. I still have a lot of things to do. I will take my leave now. Qionyang took the account book and left, leaving the finished products for Suwon to try out. Since everything is fine, I'll leave too. Suwon stood up and followed Qionyang. Qionyang walked quickly and,